bless you. I know, I'd like to do that, but part of the package. Good morning, and welcome to the EAR meeting, special call meeting here at the Indian River County Commission Chambers. It's Tuesday, August 12th, 2025, and we'll have a moment of silent reflection for the first responders and members of the armed forces, followed by an invocation by none other than Dr. Christina Moore from the REMA Apostolic International Deliverance Center. And then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by John Tikanich, our County Administrator. Please rise.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity to provide the invocation this morning. Father, in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, we give you all the glory, all the honor, power, and dominion that is due to you. You said in your word in Psalms 24th chapter, verse 1, that the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell in it. And God, we submit to your will and your agenda. Lord, we ask you to heal that which needs to be healed, mend that which needs to be mended, restore that which needs to be restored. Thank you, oh God. Arise, let the enemy of poverty be scattered. Let the enemy of discord be scattered. Lift up a standard of peace against the flood of confusion and chaos, God. We thank you for lifting up a standard of healing and deliverance against the spirit of sickness and infirmity. God, we thank you right now for downloading into them what needs to be downloaded into their spirit, into their heart, to their mind, and to their soul. Oh, Father, we ask you, God, to bring unity into our community. We decree and declare that unity will prevail. You said whatever we bind in earth, you'll bind in heaven. We bind up discord, we bind up lack, we bind up disunity, and we lose unity. We lose oneness in this community. We lose oneness in our home. Restore marriages, God. Restore relationships. Restore the family, God. You said in your word, if my people which are called by your name will humble ourselves, repent, turn from our wicked ways, then you will hear from heaven and heal our lands. I stand as your servant. I stand as the prostitute, and I repent. We repent for every sin of commission. We repent for every sin of omission. Heal our lands, God. Heal our bodies. Heal the economy. And God, we thank you. You also said pray for the government of this world, not talk about them, not put them down, but pray for them. And we thank you right now for dispatching the power of the Holy Ghost unto conviction and salvation to the White House, to the governor, to all those in legal field, to those in the criminal, even get them saved, God, so that we may be able to be prosperous, that we may be a prosperous county, that we may be a prosperous cities, that we may be a prosperous nation, and we turn back to you, and we forever can give you all the glory, all the honor, power that is due to you, for you are sovereign, and you are omniscient and omnipotent in this world. In Jesus' name, Selah. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, all, and thank you. After that invocation, it's got to be good. Thank you. Well, we're here today at the evaluation and appraisal report. We're here for the evaluation and appraisal report review. Again, we've discussed this in the past. The last time we did this was 2008. Then it was brought forward. Comprehensive plan was looked at, reviewed. The last time that we've actually had the comprehensive plan filed and reviewed and sent back was 15 years ago. And at that time, we felt it was time. What we did was we had some citizen engagement sessions, several in the county, with over 250 participants. We also had the opportunity to have a lot of online engagement. We received recommendations, and staff has culminated all this information and consulted, and we're going to deliver that information today. We're going to accept comment. We will have comment, and then this will be forwarded up to Tallahassee for review, and we'll await their comments. And at that time, those comments will then become our, and it gets sent back up as our comprehensive plan, the way we go forward in the future in this county. With that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Patrick Murphy, who's going to review the EAR.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Patrick Murphy, I'm the Chief of Long Range Planning as a section of the Planning and Development Services. I'm happy to be here to present this to you. I am actually very now motivated by the invocation. I wasn't expecting that, and I'm energized and ready to go to work here. So thank you all very much. As the Chairman stated, the Evaluation and Appraisal Report is a way of looking at our comprehensive plan and taking a look at all the things that we need to update that we haven't done for years. So first of all, what is a comprehensive plan? Comprehensive plan is a set of policies intended to plan for and guide the future of a community, typically over a 10 to 20-year period. It consists of goals, objectives, and policies, which are supported by data inventory and analysis. On the left side of your screen is actually a little caption from our future land use element, and it breaks it down and shows how they build upon one another. Our current vision statement in the comprehensive plan is to maintain and promote the small-town character of Indian River County as a low-density, low-rise, and green county while providing for a variety of housing and transportation choices. So the goals, objectives, and policies are actually the most important parts of a comprehensive plan element. Starting with your goal. That is a long-term end toward which a program or activities are directed. So this is sort of your 10,000-foot level looking down upon the land, if you will. An objective takes you a little further down that step. It's a specific, measurable, intermediate end that is achievable and marks progress towards a goal. And then your policy, sort of down at your ground level, that's a course of action or way in which programs and activities are conducted to achieve an identified goal or objective. So looking at a goal, an objective, and a policy, just to show you how they work together, a goal being from the future land use element. Land development in Indian River County will occur in an orderly and controlled manner, which ensures balanced growth that optimizes the potential for economic development, provides for the efficient use of facilities and services, and ensures the protection of county's rich and varied environmental resources. So that's a very broad-based goal that we're trying to achieve. So how do we do that? You further drill down through your objectives. Objective 1 in the future land use element is Indian River County will have a compact and energy-efficient land use pattern, an overall low-density character, and adequate land for utility facilities necessary to support development. By 2030, the overall residential density of the unincorporated portions of Indian River County within the urban service area will be 1.75 units per acre. So it takes that goal down a little bit further. And then a policy, how do you actually implement that objective? Indian River County hereby adopts the future land use goals, objectives, and policies, as well as the future land use maps. And those maps show where that development is going to be distributed among the county for such things as residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, all the uses. The maps also include the densities of residential and those intensities of commercial and industrial, what types of factories you're going to have in certain types of zoning districts. So moving on, the comprehensive plan is actually comprised of 13 separate elements that all work together to provide development within the county. Your first being your introductory element. This is all your background information concerning historical development of the county, followed by your future land use element, which designates future land use patterns with corresponding densities and intensities. Next, your public infrastructure element, which is actually consisted of 5 sub-elements, including sanitary sewer, potable water, solid waste, natural groundwater, and stormwater. Transportation element establishes the level of service standards for the major roadways, how quickly traffic moves through certain intersections. Economic development element, this sets forth the county's policies for economic growth and diversification. Capital improvements elements, this is to ensure the fiscal capability of the county to fund needed public facilities. Housing element seeks to ensure adequate and safe housing for current and future residents of the county. Your conservation element sets the foundation for the county to protect and preserve its natural environment. The coastal management element preserves coastal resources and protects life property from natural disasters. That's your hardening of your infrastructure along the coastline. Recreation and open space provides a comprehensive system for public recreation open space, gives a place for all of our residents to recreate when they're not working. Intergovernmental and coordination element, this is to identify coordination strategies for all the other elements. The public schools facilities element sets coordination between the school district and Indian River County. And finally, the property rights element, which is to ensure specific rights of property owners are considered in our local decision-making. So the purpose of the EAR process has a couple of different purposes for it. When we evaluate our goals, objectives, and policies, we're to look primarily at what do we need to update from legislation that's come out of Tallahassee. So if it's changing in Florida statutes, the different Senate bills and House bills that have worked their way through and become law, how does that affect our comp plan, and where do we need to update to make sure that we're in step with those? It's also to simplify the plan and remove redundancies and make it easier to understand and use. It's to remove regulatory items suited for land development regulations. Our first comp plan was actually adopted in 1990, about 35 years ago. Back in the 1990s was a different way of actually writing a comp plan where they put things in the comp plan that really should probably be in the land development regulations. So one of the things we looked at when we were doing the EAR process was to remove those from the comp plan, actually put them right into the code where you can actually apply them to parcels throughout the county. It's also to incorporate or update references to other county plans like the Water Master Plan and to recognize best planning practices and provide an eye on the future. Community involvement, the chairman touched on this. In March 2023, the county initiated the RFP process to contract with a consulting company due to the enormous undertaking of evaluating over 1,000 goals, objectives, and policies. Ultimately, Kimley Horn and Associates was selected and staff meetings began. Public engagement included 6 public workshops in the 3 regions of the county. We met here in these chambers. We met in the south part of the county, the IG Center, and in the north part of the county at the library. These were very interactive meetings with hands-on with the public. We had the charrettes, we had the boards up. What do people like to see? How do they want the county to look? What type of architecture? We had a lot of different discussions. We had some very good feedback. These meetings were held in a hybrid format of both in-person and as well as online participation. At these meetings, Kimley Horn and county staff explained the significance of the key plan elements and facilitated collaborative activities to seek that input from the public. The purpose of public involvement is to ensure diverse viewpoints of the community are being heard, because this is a plan not just for staff, but for everyone that lives in this county. From that, Kimley Horn and staff used this feedback for recommendations on policy updates. So the timeline for this year. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on June 26th of this year and recommended that the Board of County Commissioners review, give comment, and approve the EAR amendments. The BCC will then have this meeting today and give any comments and feedback that they have to staff. We will then take those comments and we will transmit the EAR to the Florida Commerce. This is the state land planning agency established through state statutes. The EAR is also sent to the following agencies for review: the Trevor Coast Regional Planning Council, the St. Johns River Water Management District, Florida Department of Transportation, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Florida Department of State, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, and the Florida Department of Education. There's a lot of state agencies that take a look at this. There's a lot of things that intertwine with themselves that provide for cohesive development throughout the county. The state agencies have 30 days from the date they receive the transmitted materials from the county to respond in writing regarding any adverse impacts to their respective areas of purview. If Florida Commerce elects to formally review the EAR, they shall issue a report giving its objectives, recommendations, and comments regarding the amendments within 60 days after receipt. County staff then addresses any concerns received in writing from the state agencies, and schedules the second public hearing for final adoption of the EAR amendments by the BCC. County staff will then transmit the adopting ordinance to Florida Commerce within 10 days of BCC's final adoption approval. With recommendation here today, staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners review the attached comprehensive plan EAR-based amendments, identify any additional needed changes, and direct planning staff to transmit the county's comprehensive plan EAR-based amendments to the Florida Department of Commerce for its review. Be happy to answer any questions you may have. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. I just will open it up to my colleagues at first, then to the general public. But I just want to say overall that I truly appreciate what you and the staff members have done in getting out in the engagement. Overall, the large message was the citizens like the way they live now, the way it appears, the way it looks, the feel of our county. There was some comments. We all attended some of the engagement. We heard you. And staff has culminated all of that information and put it in the best perspective. The document is rather robust. There'll be some strike-throughs, there'll be some adjustments, and then it goes up to Tallahassee, and it will be reviewed again and again, and then come back with us. But I just wanted to say thank you. This was no short task.
No, this was a very large undertaking, and it was a good process, though, and we did have a very good public involvement, which was really nice to see.
I wish we had more engagement than we had. We well promoted it and had various venues in order to be able to have the contact, but we have over 170,000 citizens, and we did have several hundred that actually took the time to work the program and identify what they see and what they feel and what they would like to see in the county. It was rather consistent, I might add, too. It was amazing that people really do take the time to look at what they have, but more importantly is looking at a large crowd and seeing the same identified factors being expressed to us in the form of, we had whiteboards with colored pieces of paper, and they were placing them where what was most important to them. And in the end, there was certain boxes that were flooded and some that had none. So we heard you, and we formulated it, and it's time to talk about it. Thank you. To my colleagues, commissioners.
Thank you. I want to thank you for your work on this. Appreciate it. And this is not intended as a criticism, but it's a serious concern of mine. This is probably the single most important thing that we will do as a body, or that you will do as staff. I watched the P&Z, the Planning and Zoning meeting of June 26th this year. The presentation went from 7:12 p.m. to 7:25 p.m., so that's 13 minutes of presentation, and then it was followed by 7 minutes of discussion from 7:26 until the end of the meeting, 7:33. None of the commissioners had time to review the materials. At least 3 said so on the video. I'd like to compliment Mr. Votaw. He was the most outspoken. He came, yes, God bless. He did a great job. He said, I just didn't have enough time to do this. You would need weeks, not days, to review it. And I feel that we needed weeks, not days, to review it as well, if not longer. And in addition to that, it precluded the opportunity for us to make full use of our advisory boards and committees. And by that, I mean, say, for the coastal element, maybe that section should have come before Beach and Shores. That might have been more robust discussion than we could have here today. Or the housing element could have gone before the advisory, housing committee or the public school facilities could have come before the school board. You know, there probably are other possibilities. I haven't had time to think of them all, but I'm just expressing my concern. I don't want this to be rushed. If need be, let me ask the question now. I might as well ask it up front. If need be, can we have a second meeting? Can this be part one of two? What are our options here? Is there a hard deadline on this, that we need to get this somewhere? I understand it hasn't been done since 2008, but that's what makes it the most important thing we'll ever do. And I hate to give it short shrift in any way.
Certainly, and I appreciate the feedback that you have. There's not a hard and fast deadline that we have to get this to the state. This is a process for our comp plan, for our county, and if we need more time, they're certainly willing to give us the more time. They want to make sure that we have the best foot going forward. If there are additional meetings that we need to have, we can certainly accommodate those meetings. The timeline is really based on what we're comfortable with. The state's not pushing us to get this over the finish line in any given period of time. The only timelines that we're held to is once we have our actual formal hearings, that we have to transmit what was said and what was done to them, but then they feed back to us. We take their feedback, we have to then respond to it. If we provide them a letter that states we had a meeting here today and it was decided upon that we needed to have additional meetings, they're fine with that.
Oh, okay.
So they're not pushing us to actually get this to them right here and now, because they want to make sure that we get this right just as much as we want to make sure we get this right.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. What I did last week was I forwarded this to a number of our environmental advocates in the community, and I also sent it to the Indian River Soil and Water Conservation District. They had a meeting yesterday, and I think it was discussed, or we got input from several of the commissioners individually. And again, that speaks to water, which is so critical for us.
Right. And in addition to the discussion, at any given time, we can take a look at any element within the comprehensive plan and we can evaluate it. This isn't a one-time deal that we have here through the EAR process where we're going to look at everything and we're going to make changes and that's it, we're done. We can come back and look at this at any given time throughout any part of the year. The state requires us to take a look at our EAR at minimum every 7 years to see if there's been any legislative changes that have come down from Tallahassee that we have to put in the comp plan so that we're legally up to speed, so to speak. But at any given time, we have every right to go and take down any one of our elements and review it, go over it, and send it forward. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that this isn't a one-time shot, that once we have this meeting today, that's it. We can look at any of these at any time, not just this year, but going forward. And so we do have that luxury of time.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. And for the community, anyone who wants to watch meetings, and the planning and zoning meetings all are taped. The one that I referred to having to do with our discussion today, the planning and zoning meeting, that was on June 26th. And there actually were 3 matters that day, and this was number 3 of 3. So they got to this a little bit later in the meeting. But they're all available on the county website, which is indianriver.gov. And our meetings are always taped, including this special call. So you're always welcome to review anything that's said or done. And thank you for that, sir.
Mr. Chair, may I address the process?
Yeah, please, yes.
By statute, we have 10 days from the date of this public hearing to transmit this to the state. So it's a hard deadline. So my recommendation would be if the board wants to take more time, that they continue this public hearing to a time certain, if that's the board's pleasure. But I did want to make, and I think planning understands that also, but.
Yes, and to my point was, we can, after we've transmitted, we can have additional hearings in the future if there's an element that you wanted to open back up, is really what I was alluding to.
Mr. Chair, if I can just add that, as Mr. Murphy said, this is a very fluid document. Obviously, with the session meeting, every legislative session meeting every year, there are challenges and opportunities that we have to modify this. Also, this is a compilation of items that we discuss week in and week out. And more specifically, many of these items are on our Board of County Commission meetings that we talk about with respect to code and planning. So again, this is a fluid document, but I do believe that we are all prepared because these are things that we discuss meeting after meeting to some extent. Sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Inman? Commissioner Inman? Did you have anything?
I agree with both Commissioner Moss and Commissioner Lohr about this. To some extent, we do talk about it, different things, different at each meeting. But also, I mean, this is a very vast plan. I have read over it. I'm not sure I comprehended all of it the first go around. But I think we need to have the discussion today about it, about certain things, and then we probably do need to continue to discuss it. I don't think we can do it all today unless we're gonna be here all day. So I would like to have an additional meeting, time certain, or I think as the counselor said. I don't have a particular, whether 2 weeks, 2 months, 1 month, whatever. I don't have a time set, but I think we need to have a discussion on some of this today and keep going through the process, but I don't think unless majority speaks, I don't know if I'm prepared to make a final decision today. Does that makes any sense?
I agree. I have to tell you, my eyes are stinging right now because I have been reading. And it's a lot. And I will tell you that the plan is, how do I say it? There's not a lot of robust change. So it was not as difficult to read because we've been doing this, as Vice Chairman Law states, this is a continual process. To me, it was a gathering of what we do and keeping it consistent with the community engagement and with staff's input and recommendation. It was not a difficult task to have to digest. I will tell you that when you state perhaps maybe we need more time, this is the time to make that decision. If we need to have a little more, if it would make everyone comfortable, we could have a time-certain meeting that we would have an additional review. We can talk about it today. Some good folks came to want to have input today, and then we can continue this meeting because once we finalize the meeting, we have a limitation as to how long we can hold it, okay, which is 10 days. So if it would make my fellow commissioners more comfortable and for the benefit of the citizens, I believe that we should take that opportunity and then look at our calendars and make an additional time-certain meeting so that we can continue this. So there'll be no final action on this topic today. However, there is another item on the agenda which we will have to take into consideration. Correct?
Yes.
Right.
Where we're taking.
And item 4B, and there's a lot of good folks that are here today for that. So we will take action on that item, but we will have to treat that separately. And we will then, if it pleases the board, Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
you feel?
We can have as many meetings as we need. I'm in no rush myself. What I would like to do, though, is go ahead and start the comments at this meeting, so we can start working down the list. Patrick, were you going to go policy by policy? Was that your intention? Are you going by chapter, or how do you want to start tackling the discussion?
Staff was not going to actually go policy by policy based on the breadth of what has been brought forward, the undertaking that we've had, and all the meetings that we've had, and all the input we've gathered. This was put out publicly for all to consume, and we were going to solicit feedback from both the commission and the public, and to hear from them on what they've read and digested and any comments they had, and then address those with our letter that we would have gotten back from the state should we transmit this. But we weren't going to present this policy by policy at this time, knowing how long that would have taken.
So if we have specific questions on policies, you want us to ask them to you at this point?
Yes.
Okay. So I would be happy if we could just start that part of the process.
I believe the county administrator
Yes,
has
please.
his input.
So just two things. One, we did notify the Florida Commerce consistent with the requirements of Statute 163-319 relevant to the Evaluation Appraisal Comprehensive Plan prior to October 1st of 2024. And we have 1 year from that date to transmit. So it's August, so we could bring it back in September. The other thing that I would say is, we could start taking the comments, but Patrick, can you share, because I believe the date is July 7th, this was public, this document was published for the public, in terms of the proposed policies, that was for the public
Yes,
to
that's correct.
review.
Yes.
And then the EAR document itself, which is reflective of the matrix and had all the previous, strike through, underline, suggestions to some degree, there were some changes, was presented to the board in November 12th, I think it was, of 2024. Is that correct, Patrick? That's the larger EAR document itself with and the matrix is just a summation of that, and whether we refine, delete, change, or whatever the case might be with the policy. I just want to put that out. I mean,
Yeah, that was the initial document where county planning staff, along with our consultant, met with all the various department heads of your land development type departments like public works, utilities, conservation, and that's where the large document that John was holding up was produced.
So, I mean, we are good taking comments. I think it's a great idea to take the comments today.
Sure.
I mean, like, I've reviewed the letter that we've received from IRNA, and certainly, and I think it's also important to note that for the second hearing, when it comes back from the state, and I underlined it, is because the local government shall review the report submitted by the state planning agency, if any, and written comments submitted by any other person, agency, or government. We can also take into account any comments that were submitted today and make sure they're accounted for, because what we're transmitting to the state and the reviewing agencies is a proposal, and then they're going to comment on it. They're going to send us a report back. They would call it an ORC report, objections, recommendations, and comments. And then we take that, and then we have to address those matters to consistent with what we want in our community, as well as the matters any other state reviewing agency, which they typically summarize them in that work report, but also the local comments that we received today, and if we have another meeting.
I can go back to 2008, and that's exactly what occurred. We sent them up, we did have comments, and there were some adjustments, and then we had our final meeting, and then sent it back up to Tallahassee, and we were complete. So hearing from Vice Chairman Laura about the fluidity, it does exist, and we do have an opportunity to continue on. The concern is if there are concerns that we did not have ample time to immerse in this process, then we will be sending a product that we have not fully digested. And if that's the case, the changes, although anticipated, there may be additional changes or an abundance of changes if, then again, we take the time to re-review it. So it might add to the process if we send it, and it might be perceived as a hasty send. So I believe that we should, hearing my fellow commissioners, I feel that we should give our comment, open it up to the public for additional comment, and then have a time-certain continuance so that we can have, it might appear to be a game delay. However, we want to get it right, and we want everyone to feel comfortable and confident with this instrumentality and this process. So I believe that that's in our best view to be able to do that, and to then we'll check our calendars and have an additional meeting before we send this off, because then again, there's an obligation. Once we've approved it, it's 10 days, it has to be there, and then we'll await for all the comments, and then we'll only have to have another meeting in any way as designed, but why not have that meeting that's just an acceptance?
And I would emphasize between now and the next meeting, and Patrick and I will work together, but that the summary recommendation matrix was really provided for somebody to be able to go through and find out, oh, no change, revise. Here's what the objective is, and here's the comments or the rationale. So it was the revise, and I get it's 125 pages, just the summary, because as Patrick, I think, mentioned in his staff report, there's over 1,000 goals and policies in this document.
I want my fellow commissioners to feel 100% confident that this is the instrument in which we wanted to be guided by.
Yeah.
So, in all fairness. So, if you have any further questions of staff, or if there's anything that you've seen or you'd like more time, so be it, but then we will open up the public hearing to ensure, and then we'll not close the public hearing, we'll continue the public hearing to a time certain, a date certain, and that should be the process in which would please all of my fellow commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I do like Commissioner Moss's idea, and I think staff can determine whether something would need to go to one of our committees just for quick review, like she said, like Beach and Shore or something, if there's something that's relevant to it. I would leave that completely up to staff's discretion as to, unless we find something that we need to do, that if it needs to go to one of our, committees for review, if it needs to. But I would leave that up to the discretion of staff.
Well, we can do that. We can offer that to our committees, but I believe it would be a very cumbersome process. Many of the committees are not meeting on a regular basis by the time that they would also have to have special call meetings because they would not be meeting. We are obligated to have this done in reasonable time in October, and this is mid-August.
You're right.
So I don't know
How about if staff, since we all are involved with one of those committees, just staff maybe let the commissioner of that committee know and leave that up to their discretion or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm making more work for us, but I don't think it's a bad
It does
idea.
sound a bit cumbersome.
Yeah,
I don't know, you're talking about 6 weeks.
How about if we just start taking comments
Yes.
and see where
I
we
think-
get, and then we can decide
Yes.
next steps forward after we kind of take in some of these comments today and give comments. I think we're never going to get to the comment if we're We're trying to figure out,
I understand
So
that,
I-
but I also hear some uncomfortability from my fellow commissioners, and I want to ensure that everybody is 100% confident that we've traveled the course, okay? We owe it to our citizens. And hearing it, I have to say that I believe that we do have to review. I don't agree on the committee angle because again, because of timing and with an October deadline, and we must transmit 10 days after our hearing. When we finalize this and approve this, there would be a lot more work than meets the eye to get that accomplished from the individual committees. So let's see how it goes today, and then we will continue, and then we'll be checking our calendars for time certain. Okay? Because people did take the time to be here for this particular item. Does anybody else have any other further questions for staff at this time?
I just have one more, and I think we're in agreement that at least planning and zoning should have time to review this, where this is the only item on their agenda. What is the mechanism for, for making that happen?
We would need to re-advertise to the Planning and Zoning Board as a public hearing for that item, and get those dates certain, and then it would come back before the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay. I mean, we have time to do planning and zoning at least.
We do. I did want to stress that the EAR process, as mandated by the state, requires us to look and make sure that we have updated our comp plan for all of the statutory changes, all the legal changes. It doesn't require us to take down the comp plan all the way to its core and look at every single element. That is a voluntary decision that we can make outside of the EAR process. What we are required by the state to do is to look at it and make sure our comp plan is up to par with all of the changes that have been made legally.
Yeah.
If we want to make the decision voluntarily to look at all the other elements, that is the part that we can do on our own time basis. Ms. Schuler.
My thinking is, as a county, we've grown a lot since 2008. And we're really the timing of this, we're really at a critical juncture right now. And that's another reason why I don't want to just, rush this through. We really need to take a look at everything. And we know that, to Commissioner Laura's point, we know that because people have come to us at different meetings, a whole host of meetings, and expressed their concerns that the infrastructure, and by that I mean traffic and flooding and other concerns, are not keeping up with the current rate of development. So this may even be more important. It's always important, but it may even be more important given the timing and the rate of development than it was in 2008. Things have changed a lot, mightily.
Mr. Chair, may I say something?
Please.
I was at that planning and zoning meeting because I was filling in for Ms. Prado at that meeting, and there was a lot of concern by the planning and zoning members. They'd just gotten it a couple days before. They didn't even, I think it would be a good idea to let them take another crack at it too, before it comes back to this board, because I do think that they may be able to provide you some more substantive comments if they're given a little bit more time.
I agree, that's a very important prong of this process. And again, in the snapshot in time where Commissioner Morse has pointed out the amount of minutes that they had on camera, they did have access to it, and for a longer period of time. It's just that was the amount of camera time it was given. So I agree, but I don't want to say that they weren't working on that at other times. The P&Z members are very dedicated, voluntary individuals who take their work very seriously, and I believe that they did have the opportunity to review it. But perhaps if it makes everyone comfortable, an additional meeting for them, if that can be arranged. Patrick? And then at that time, we can continue this process. But I believe that, again, we should also afford the opportunity for anybody who has taken the time to be here to have their input, and this will be a better product. Is there any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, if I could add and just kind of repeat what Mr. Murphy said. So basically, 67 counties, 450 municipalities within the state send this report to Tallahassee. They have 30 days to review it. Essentially, they are looking for any statutorily changes in the past legislative session. So that would be their review. Everything else locally and separate and distinct for Indian River County, essentially, I don't want to speak for them, but more than likely, they don't have the time to dig into the weeds of our comp plan. So in other words, it's vital that we understand not only that we met the statutory requirements, but that we're fluid and we can change as our community changes or doesn't change. So I don't think we need to be too, I don't want to say alarmed or concerned, because we certainly respect our friends in Tallahassee, but once we reach those statutory requirements, when the session changes, different statutes each year, as long as we're in compliance with that, I think we've achieved that goal, and then the rest of it is up to us to fine tune it specific to Indian River County.
Yes, agreed, but, we're filing a document that this is what our future is, and this is how we're doing it, and this is what we plan, and it has to be statutorily acceptable and compliant and legally sufficient. There also are other elements that we're sending upward, and there just would be, I don't know, I'd be reserved to say that, do we want to send up the plan and then only to know that, well, have the opinion that, well, we can change, we can do a comprehensive plan change every so often. We're allowed to do that.
Right.
But why are we sending a document that we're anticipating to change?
Well, it's going to change inevitably in 7 years, so that's why it's fluid.
Sure, sure. But annually, we can do that too.
Okay.
So with that, I'd like to go forward. If there's any other comments about the plan, if not, I would like to open it up to the public. This is a public hearing. Please come to the podium, state your name for the record. Public hearing.
Commissioners, David Cox, Periwinkle Lane, Summer Place. I was on Planning and Zoning in 2008 and reviewed the comp plan back then, as some of you know. And we did spend quite a bit of time on that year document. And I, at your pleasure, serve on Beach and Shores Advisory Committee, which Mr. Ehrman is the coordinator for. And we did not receive a copy of this, and it has not been reviewed by Beach and Shores Advisory Committee. And I think that that would be an important addition to comments. And I'm also a supervisor on Soil and Water Conservation District. And our board meeting yesterday, we brought it up, but we had not had any chance to review it. And I think that we would well enjoy the opportunity to spend more time submitting comments, especially on all of the aspects of it that relate to water. So I'm very pleased to hear the discussion that's going on to provide additional time certain, for another meeting that would allow additional comment between now and then. Because I think that this is a hugely important document, and I appreciate staff time inputting on this. The red line markup agenda that appeared on the county's website apparently today, which we had not seen previously, even yesterday at Soil and Water Conservation District, and our administrative assistant didn't see that document. We hadn't seen it until this morning. And that's a problem. I think that there's a break in the information flow somewhere, and I don't know where it is. But I am very appreciative that you're willing to consider having additional time to review this very important document. And I would like also to say that I'm a member of a new nonprofit, the Gopher Tortoise Alliance, and we have submitted some comments to you that are very specific about an LDR 926.07, and I'm sorry, 927.06. And I would like to introduce Jerianna Jones, who is the leader of the Gopher Tortoise Alliance, so she could just briefly address what those concerns are and suggest a revision to that particular LDR, which, as Commissioner Lohr has stated, would never reach Tallahassee. But these are the kinds of things that are so local that really make the quality of our community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Hi, I'm Jerianna Jones with the Gopher Tortoise Alliance. We meet right down the road at 14th Avenue, 2044 14th. So I'm here today because we've been working over the last 2 years with various county staff, including like Stephen Hitt and Andy Subcheck, on getting this exemption 927.06 revised. We've provided you with the written language, the strike-through pieces, and then the proposed language. Our big concerns here are that this is possibly unintentionally allowing harm to gopher tortoises, which are a protected species by the Florida Administrative Code. So I've put in there what they define as take, which includes a negligent act or omission which creates the likelihood of injury to wildlife. And in this case, we allow, as a county, land less than an acre to be cleared without any environmental survey. And as much as we really hope that people do right by Florida, by the law and protect any protected species that would be on that property, we know the reality is sometimes people don't. So they're just gonna put it aside and do what they need to do to clear the property. And an acre is a large amount of space, especially when we're talking about some unincorporated areas of the county where we've got quarter-acre lots all over the place. So I know this isn't exactly the time to hash out all the details here, but I will be following up with you guys, and I hope that we can collaborate a little bit on this. Because again, this is one of those things that, like you guys are talking about, we can revisit certain portions of this code later, but we've been trying to do that, and we were told by the county administrator to wait for the EAR process. So here we are. So I will leave it at that, but again, I'll be following up, and I hope to be able to chat with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Andros, I live in the county. This is a big document. Staff's done a lot of work, and like Commissioner Ehrman said, I don't pretend to know it all either. I'm not an attorney. But I do have a question. I tried to go through the proper channels and seem to be getting roadblocked. Just curious how much the consultants have cost this county for assisting staff. And I was wondering if you could tell us that today, if not, or let us know when we expect to see it.
John? You had to leave.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Andros.
Morning, Commissioners. Rusty Benak, multi-generational resident of our family in the county, and love this county and the way that it's grown, and look forward for it to be growing responsible. But a couple questions I have that I just want to make sure I understand. The county continues to lose property that it controls through annexations from Fellsmere and Sebastian. And my question is, what coordination and cooperation do you have with Sebastian and Fellsmere? I mean, this plan covers some of the land in the county, but a lot of land that's not controlled by the commission. So the future growth of this county, everybody's got to work together. And I just want to understand the coordination and cooperation between the different entities. That's one question. Then I'm going to sit down after my next one. The next one is, obviously, the American dream is to own a house, and I'm not for urban sprawl. I think you've got to grow where it makes sense and have your density, but at 1.7 units the acre, it starts to make homes more expensive. So in order to retain high-quality teachers, police force, firefighters, and certainly there's a lot of other people that are lower income. When you start doing 1.7 units, it drives the price of housing up. And so how do you retain high-quality people that want to live in this county and work if it's kind of a double-edged sword here? And I just want to make sure I understand how you propose to do that. And I know the meetings, I attended most of them, were the planning meetings. And I know the commissioner mentioned that, you know, we had several hundred people here, but they're mostly daytime meetings. And what representation did you have from some of these lower income people versus Erna and other people that have moved in here that show up for these meetings, where other people may be working and can't make these meetings? Are they getting the proper representation, you know, in guiding you guys to where we need to go? So those are my couple questions. Thank you.
I just want,
Rusty, I appreciate your comment, and I know that you attended some of the meetings. I think the one that we had here on this meeting. Your concerns are well taken, and I believe that your input was taken with staff and the consultants as well. But as far as the annexation, I believe you're referring to a rather large annexation that has taken place. We can take that into consideration, but there's no way that we can anticipate. And again, voluntary annexation happens. It's applied for, and we can't deny it. So it's one of those uncertainties about expectation or anticipation of what we can do in the future. That's why we're revisiting this now. This is a timestamp, and we can take into consideration only what exists, not what we can anticipate, because things change.
No, I understand the annexation process.
Sure.
I get that, but my question was, is there any working relationship amongst the commissioners and these other, Sebastian and Fellsmere, to kind of talk about what they would like to see in the county and what you guys see in the county to work together so we don't have, you know, this county doing one thing and there may be no easy answer, but I just wondered if, is there cooperation among you guys, Sebastian and Fellsmere, as a looking over the whole county to see how we all want to grow? I mean, and
believe-
that's my question.
I believe the cooperation exists, we have had in the past joint session meetings, and then some of these ideas were thrown back and forth to have us better aware and they're better aware of what their expectations are. But I'll tell you that all of the county administrator and the administrators of all the municipalities meet on a regular basis. And you've had, when was the last meeting you had, John?
Well, we, as a group, it's probably been a little bit, but we are in contact as necessary, depending on the issues, yes.
And that you have a meeting just a couple of months ago?
We did, yeah, that was, I think it was quarterly, I think we said.
It removes the politics out of the needs and wants, and it's more dedicated to any visioning that they have in between the two. But we also take that in consideration as well.
Well, I just recommend that maybe you have more of these meetings as they become a bigger part. And, you know, there's a reason people are annexing property and leaving the county because these other municipalities are offering things that maybe the county isn't. And how do everybody come together as a global view? And, you know, I just would recommend that there'd be more cooperation between
Good point.
everybody because we are one county, but yet we all may have different views. And if we decide to do one thing and then Fellsmere Sebastian just goes crazy, then, you know, and I'm not saying they are. I think there's some good people in both municipalities that are planning, but I just want to make sure that y'all are working together if you can and maybe have more workshops to see how we all need to grow.
Specifically on infrastructure issues, because, again, while it's fluid and it can change and annexations can change, the demand becomes upon water and access, and those are critical issues that are the county's concern as well. And we have to look at all aspects of growth and expansion.
Right.
But I agree.
And then, as I said, on affordability for housing, as I mentioned, when you go to lower densities and areas, it does increase the price of housing. These home builders are gonna jack these up, and my wife and a lot of my family's been in education, and I hear the plights of the teachers and different people trying to make ends meet, and just need to make sure that we are taking all that into consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I
Yes.
just make one additional comment? I have reinstituted regular lunch meetings with the county, city, and town attorneys, and at the last one, I did bring up the interlocal service boundary agreement issue, and there was, which the board directed me to do, and there was a interest in amongst them and an openness in that. So certainly, that's something I will bring up again.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, just to address Rusty's comments about when we had meetings, not just having day meetings, I think that of the 6 workshops that we had to solicit information and comment on the ear, 3 of them were after hours at night. So we had a day meeting and then a night meeting. And you're absolutely correct. I think some of the comments, because of the different type of people that were available to come during those times, were very different. So that was kind of interesting, as I recall staff mentioning. I don't know, Patrick, if you want to touch on that at all.
Yes, both day and night meetings. We also would list the feedback that we had on our county website with contact information for our planning director at the time to reach out to at any given time. If anyone had a comment or a question, they had the ability to reach out either by phone or by email or coming in to see. So we had that out there for the public to see. We did reach out to a lot of different neighborhood groups and business groups to attend the meetings. So we did as much public outreach as we could, and we gave the opportunity for folks to come in and speak to us about that. We certainly wanted to be transparent throughout this entire process.
Thank you for clarifying that, because once again, I believe it was 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. at all three locations, South County, Mid County, and North County. So, remember talking about it. Well, that's two. Is there anybody else that wishes to add to this discussion and give comment? Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, good morning. My name's Lisa Sinersky. I'm an Indian River County resident. I'm a fifth-generation native of Indian River County. My great-grandfather worked on the first Board of County Commissioners, and I really didn't plan on even coming to this meeting today, but here I am. And I'm really here in support of I guess, land, land, the wildlife, water. What I'm hearing is this plan is something that needs to be updated or hasn't been addressed in nearly 20 years, it sounds like.
15.
That sounds like a long time, and especially when it's about the growth of our area and community. It's been happening, a lot of growth, rapid land loss for quite a few years now. So I'm kind of surprised at hearing that this is something that is just now being addressed or updated. So I'm again here to just speak on behalf of the vulnerable wildlife, in particular the tortoises. Not only do they share land, you know, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know if this is something that's been brought up over time, but I know that the gopher tortoise, I am a part of the scrub jay conservation program in this town.
Thank you.
And I love it. It's my third season. We just had a successful banding season with a lot of brown heads, babies that were born this year, so that's a beautiful program. And on that land, I get to spend time with gopher tortoises, walking around, monitoring the scrub jays, and they share so much of their underground burrows with other species. A lot. I don't know that number, but it's a lot. So not only are we jeopardizing the gopher tortoises, we are putting many species at jeopardy by ruining their habitat without thinking about it first and without having some kind of policy in place, even for 1 acre. And as they said, 1 acre amongst many acres on one plot of land, that's horrific. That's gonna be really devastating. So I guess that's what I'm here to say. I wish this plan could be moved forward quickly when it comes to addressing things, when it comes to our wildlife especially. And again, as I said, I'm an Indian River County native. I drive around this town. I've been here my whole life. My family's on the same property for over 40 years. My great-grandfather, again, county commissioner. My uncle was working for the Road and Bridge Department for 40 years in this county. My grandfather, 30 years. I'm here to speak on their behalf. They're no longer here, but I know they'd be appalled at what's happening with the land loss in this county. It's sad. And I drive around literally crying sometimes. I drive around for work. I work with animals for a living. I drive around north, south, east, west. It doesn't matter. There's devastation everywhere, and I think that's what we need to address. And if anything, you know, that part of this plan or I'm not even sure what it's all about, but that needs to be addressed because it's been happening for a long time and it's happening faster and faster when we talk about land loss. Thank you.
Thank you. As far as reflecting back to the beginning of the meeting, we have an opportunity to file our evaluation and appraisal report. This was done, again, the last time we did this full process was 15 years ago. But we also have the opportunity to file our comprehensive plan and adjust it accordingly throughout the years. So it's not something that, gee, we haven't done in 20 years. That would be an unfair and incorrect statement, that we haven't done anything in 20 years. Just that it's been 15 years since we did this process where we've stripped it down and started from the ground and had the input, and then looked at what we have and have to ensure that it's statutorily correct and sufficient, and that we're adhering to all of the current guidelines. There hasn't been a challenge that we haven't done this process over the past 15 years. And again, we have an opportunity, as we stated earlier, we may be looking at this next year and filing an amendment to that plan as well. Okay, we do have that opportunity.
I do hope then it's something we can look at a little bit more often when it comes to things. I'm not policies and procedures person, I'm not a numbers person, zoning plan, I'm not any of that. I'm just a citizen, I love nature, I love my community that I was born and raised in, that again, that my family has been on this land for a long time, over 100 years. I'm here to represent them. I know they'd be sad at what they see when they drive around town or when they, so that's what I'm here to talk about. I don't know about all of these things that need to take place in order for what I would say the right things, the right changes or the right things need to be looked at. I'm just here to talk on my, on what I see and I know what everybody sees. We see rapid land loss, development happening quickly. And like most people, we don't have the time and the means to come and know about all these policies and procedures. Things just happen, and then we see the devastation, and it's heartbreaking. And all I can do is come and comment on things that I've seen over time. And I just hope that the people that represent our town can do something in efforts to slow things down or to be a bit more mindful of the species that we share our land with. I think that's what the Tortoise Alliance is here to speak on behalf, and I think I'm also here to just share that same message. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Diane Morgan. I'm here with the Go for Tortoise Alliance. I also work with the Save the Manatee Club. I'm a writer. I would like to underscore everything that Lisa just said. I haven't been here for 5 generations, nor has my family, but the Go for Tortoises have been here for 60 million years. The manatees in our lagoon have been here for 12,000 years. We are not making things better for these animals that share our environment. The gopher tortoises not only host 350 other species at minimum, but they also do a lot to help improve the ground. They are a fabulous addition to us. They are the only gopher tortoise that are east of the Mississippi. And as far as our manatees, I know that we are also considering, or the FWC wants to consider, raising the speed limits in places where they have been safe at going 5 miles an hour, and they want to raise it to 25 miles an hour. And I can give you the statistics on what happens to a manatee when it gets hit at that speed. So I don't want to be an agent provocateur exactly, but I think I'm turning into one. But I do want to just underscore that we need to protect these animals. You know, we are responsible for them. You know, they are innocent creatures here. They share our environment. They share our history. They help protect us. We live in a web of living creatures. You start pulling the thread on the scrub jays, start pulling the thread on the gopher tortoises, on the manatees, on the seagrass, and everything else follows. And plant more trees.
Thank you. There's no doubt about it. We do take our manatee seriously, and we've just appointed a few individuals to a great program. The manatees are actually immigrants to this county, but it's been a long time. They're not recent immigrants, and they're well embraced and well cared for and respected, and I hope to continue that process.
I mean, you understand that
You can't speak from the seats.
Just a minute.
Thank you.
There was a persistent rumor going around that the manatees were brought here in the 1960s. I want to make sure that we all
No,
know
no,
they've
no.
been here for 12,000 years.
Thank you.
In our lagoon. They are
Thank you.
here. More native than any of us.
Good morning, and thank you again. I'm Donna Halloran, I'm from Sebastian, and I am also the Executive Director of Pelican Island Audubon. First, I do want to say, in all fairness, I really appreciate you considering and moving forward with listening and receiving more comments. I do know that I got the crossouts of the comp plan last Thursday, I believe, and I have worked on it easily for 12 hours a day since then to get my comments together. I did mail them to all of the commissioners yesterday. I hope you received those. If not, I'll certainly send them out again. One comment I do want to make, though, is that we all know that once a document is transmitted, that becomes the standing document. But to make changes over that never happens right away. It always takes years for that to take place. So I believe that we really need a strong document that expresses what things are happening right now in 2025. So I appreciate that you're going to give that some more time. I have just a couple comments, if you don't mind. One, it kind of falls back on the annexation. A strong county comprehensive plan means little if cities can annex agricultural lands and approve development that undermines it. Once these lands are annexed, the county's influence fades, but its services can still be used to support poor development decisions. The county must take a firm stand. It should not provide utilities, emergency services, or other infrastructure to developments that would be prohibited under county regulations. The existing objective in the 5-year capital improvement plan for sewer is to discourage sprawl, should be strengthened, not watered down. Clear policies must explicitly state that the county will not extend services to annexed lands whose development conflicts with the county's standards. This is essential to preserving agricultural lands, protecting natural resources, and preventing costly unplanned growth. You have a chance to really look at these policies and documents that you're receiving, so I really hope you take these into consideration. I believe that you will. I had a few comments about accelerating the septic to sewer conversions. I strongly feel, I'm also on the Clean Water Coalition, I'm not speaking for them, but we need to move faster on septic to sewer. I realize it's a money thing, but we have to increase the target in 10 years. We can't wait 20 years to start doing conversions at 60% to be completed in 20 years. It needs to be 70 to 80 within the next 10 years. I know that's a big benchmark to meet, but I do think we need to start looking outside for cost share, for financial incentives, public-private donations, I think, or relationships, partnerships to help reduce the cost, incentives for families. That is coming up on 2030. I know that date is probably will be changed, but I think realistically, if we keep looking at this, we're just going to continue to do damage to the lagoon. Aligning with the Indian River Lagoon CCMP and the Basin Management Action Plan, I think that you need to make sure that they're aligned consistently across jurisdictions, ensuring science-based action, avoid duplication, and improving funding eligibility for lagoon restoration projects. So my recommendation is that we use shared science and performance measures to track progress and ensure accountability, and coordinate public messages to inform the urgency of lagoon restoration. I have 6 pages of notes. I will not read them all. I think you can read what I had sent, but building heights, I really appreciate. It was difficult because when I'm reading through it, it's crossed through, red line through, so that sends me on a rabbit hole to go down to try to figure out where that's going to be mentioned again. I was able to find it, which I appreciate. I made a copy of it. The Unicode codification document, version 2025, June. I think there needs to be references in here as well to tell you where you're going to be finding this information, because that just sent up a red flag for me. But then I find that, oh, no, actually, you're holding that in place. But there was no place in there that states that that's what you're planning to do, because it's in a different document. It doesn't make the recommendation to look at that other document or even how to find it. And maybe it's me, but I do want to, yes, it's not clear. I think that clear, accessible planning principles protects the community character. Removing traditional neighborhood design from the comp plan will weaken it, the transparency and the guidance. So I do want to recommend that more may be better here, with better explanations. Another one that I really want to mention is regarding, if I can find it, schools. We work a lot, of course, with underrepresented, underserved children in South County, throughout the county, but mostly South County. And we do a number of field trips around, at our own dime, around the country. And in Austin, Texas, they have a program called the school playground, can't remember at the moment. But basically what it is, that schools are available for children to play in from 4 until 7 o'clock at night. They're open on weekends for kids to use. Right now, there's such a lockdown. If a child lives in a neighborhood that does not have green space, they are restricted to not be able to use it, or they have to drive somewhere to get there. All over the country, playgrounds at school, in schoolyards, they're already there. They're used for very little bit amount of time in the school day for kids. It would be so good to be able to see that kids are able to use the playgrounds. And I know it's an insurance thing and whatever, but it's happening all over the place. So the liability can be overlooked. Not overlooked, but can be looked at to see that this is something that's so much more beneficial for kids to have green space in their own neighborhood, and how important that is, we know, for mental health and well-being of children. And also for families to be able to get out into that space. It's ridiculous that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the schools are locked down and those playgrounds are not available. So I really hope that's something that we can look into and we'll work on. Another one I certainly want to recommend, I think you are doing some great stuff, and I do have praises. I will say that I applaud the county commitment to retaining at least 125,000 acres of active agricultural land. This sustains our economic heritage, our rural characteristic, wildlife habitat, and water quality. I think extend and strengthen this goal beyond 2025 by integrating farmland protection into the climate resilience, water management, and conservation strategies will align with the Indian River Lagoon BMAP and CCMP. Building heights, I'm going to just do one more if you don't mind. The swales. The language in there, I don't have it with me right here, but for ditch banks and other disturbed soils in Indian River County. The language talks about sodding the property, sodding those areas. And I really think that natural ground covers and grasses that stabilize soil, reduce erosion, and need much less long-term maintenance than sod really needs to be looked at. I do travel around the United States, a lot of between the sidewalk and the road, a lot of places that is natural. It's not sod, but they're pollinators. They're only a weed if you don't want them in your garden. But there's a number of grasses and plants and stuff that can go on that, on those swales that would work perfectly. And overall, it may cost a little bit more at the beginning, but it's going to save in the long run. So I really hope that you'll consider something like that as well. And I appreciate your time. And I hope you read my notes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Can we speak on the left-hand side here, too? Thank you. Good morning,
Doc.
Commissioners. I'm Richard Baker, on the board chair of the Pelican Island Audubon Society. And I'd like to thank you for letting us have a demonstration garden in front of your entrance here. We've got 5 of them out there now, a couple of them at the post offices and at the Up Center. And we're getting more and more people planting native plants now that have seen these sites here and want to come back. So we appreciate all that. We approve, Donna Halloran and our executive director went kind of in details about what we would like to see done. So I approve all of those, and the Indian River Neighborhood Association has sent some changes for you too, and we support all that. And of course, the Gopher Tortoises have submitted something to you too, and all of these I think should be considered. Our county has been saved by the foresights of many county commissioners, and I think that one of the big things was limiting the heights of our buildings to 35 feet. That has made us the best county in the state to live in, I think. When you drive over and look over at the ocean and the beach side, you see those towers that remind you what a bad thing it was started, and that, looking at those first apartment buildings that went in, that changed the attitude of everybody here, and I hope we continue that. It is critical that we keep this county as we want it to do. It's critical to stop cutting down trees. If you just drive around, you just see clear cutting going on, and it is very bad. The turf grasses that replace all these nice trees that we're putting in consume 65% of our drinking water on turf grass, and this goes up to 88% in the summertime. And we're running out of drinking water, at least the kind that we don't have to treat and run through filters and give chemicals and all kinds of things like that. Geez, that me? And what we'd like for the roads that you have here, I'm sorry. I don't know, somebody doesn't want me speaking, I guess. But this grass also produces a lot of CO2 because you have the mow below people, and even the county, look at Route 66, you put down a lot of turf grass there. You could put down native plants. Turf grass, the roots are only 2 inches. That's why you gotta water them in our country every couple, 3 or 4 days. And native ground covers have roots that are up to 12 inches. And so they don't need to be watered so much because it just doesn't evaporate right off really quickly. So I'd like to see us put more native ground covers, and they're beautiful. Some are flowers. And you don't have to mow them as often. You can mow them if you want. You don't even have to mow them. And I'd like to see on our roads and bridges around town that we put in native ground covers that could be done. Trees are critical for our survival. They provide the oxygen, we believe, but they're also cool the planet. And that's one of the reasons I think the planet it's oils and all kinds of things that are causing the CO2 to come up and cause climate change. But also the eliminating of trees does play a part in producing CO2. They use the CO2 to grow. And so I think that would be good. And they hold water too. Plants, you see when it rains, they hold water for quite a while, and so it doesn't just rush down to the rivers. And we don't want to have what happened in Texas, where they had this huge big flood and killed a lot of kids and people. And so we need to keep our trees. 60% of our forests have been destroyed by human activity. I mean, we are really going after trees all over the world, and we need to get this changed. I just read in this morning's paper where we're having all these fires going on, the largest wildfires, and a lot of this is because of the heat that's occurring. And in the paper this morning, you saw that in Colorado, they had to take out all the prisoners of a prison because one of the fires they're having there is too close to the prison. I mean, that's pretty scary stuff going on. So we have actually 36 fires burning in the United States now that are really huge and terrible. Now, we've had a little bit of problem on Oslo Road in 27th, but we haven't had that problem. But we could have big fires here because we do fortunately have some nice some state parks and things that are preserving it, and they're subject to fires too. So I'd like to recommend that you reduce all the turf grass that we put down and have people put in native places that it'll be less mowing and blowing. It'll have to go on. We'll save our water. And then we could plant more trees too. I think if we encourage people to put trees in. Now, I'm not a big fan of palms. And you see, they call them palm trees, but really palms are a grass. They don't even belong in the tree family. And palms get a little bit smaller as they grow. Trees get a little bit bigger as they grow. So I would try to not encourage to consider a palm tree a tree when you have to put 1 or 2 trees required. You should put down an oak tree or some of our native trees. Oak trees are really the best. 395 insects are found on oak trees. There's over 400 in the world of the live oaks I'm talking about. So our oak is saving us, our butterflies and our birds. We're losing 30% of our birds. We're losing our tortoises. We're losing our manatees. And when you drive up US 1 and heading up to Melbourne, you don't see all the birds on these posts out that you used to see. You see a few, but you don't see as many as you used to see. So we're losing our birds. And so trees are important for our survival overall. And I think that Indian River County stands a chance to show the world what we can do to save it. And we did that, I think, by the height thing. You go to these cities and you see, now you're seeing just concrete and buildings, and we don't want to see that here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Don.
Sorry about the phone.
Anyone else? There's one.
Hi there, I'm Bob Bruce. I live at 12396 Highway A1A. I was actually involved in this process 15 years ago heavily, and it was quite extensive at that time. That was Bob Keating, Stan Boland timeframe. So my hat's off to the group that did this today. They did a great job. There are some problems, but there were back then too. And I would like to say that I don't think Rusty emphasized enough about affordable housing. I really think this county needs to get on the stick there. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Is it still morning? Good morning. I'm T.P. Kennedy, Central Beach resident, 5th generation county resident, 7th generation in the state. This is the comprehensive land use plan. So the definition in the Webster's dictionary is comprehensive, covering completely or broadly, all inclusive. So with that, the one thing I see in the plan is that future single family home affordability is an issue here. It's been an issue for a while now. Do we have more multifamily projects coming in? Yes. I think there's too many right now, but that's just my personal opinion. Home ownership for my children, being able to afford a single family home in the county going forward is at risk. Teachers, first responders, government employees don't want to just live in multifamily housing, and that's what they're being forced to do. They can buy single family, but it's in a multifamily neighborhood such as a townhouse. So putting more restrictions on units per acre, going down to 1.7 units per acre is a problem I see going forward. So true home ownership is single family ownership, not multifamily ownership. So that's one place that we need to work on there. I do worry about the county being too restrictive on growth because it opens a door for Sebastian and Fellsmere. You guys hold the purse strings with the water and sewer right now, but if they ever got together and built a regional water and sewer plant, then you guys have no control over that. So you guys do have control over the water and sewer right now, but in the future, you might not. So you can see what happened to Port St. Lucie. I know Port St. Lucie well. I had a lot of land down there in the past. Port St. Lucie runs the whole county, and what they do goes. They run everything, run the whole show. That could happen with Fellsmere and Sebastian. So I'm just putting that out there. But it is a comprehensive land use plan. It's well-written. There's certain places that can be tweaked. Do I think it needs more time? Yes. And I didn't hear about this meeting until Sunday when somebody told me about it. So I've been following. I went to 3 of the meetings, too.
Thank you, TP. Well, we're going to continue this meeting, but at this point, I'd like to ask how much lead time we need for the continuance if we're going to involve B and Z.
The next
Because we have a notification time.
Right. I mean, the minimum time frame that we have to notify is 2 weeks, 14 days. We do have established meetings for PZC the first and third Thursdays of every month. So it depends on how quick we want to turn this around. We can place it on an agenda coming up and still meet the advertisement guidelines.
Well, we just merely, we would, I'm more concerned about the P and Z commitment because we can continue this meeting as we will today. And we can continue it and attach it to an existing county commission meeting, or we can set it up for a vacant day at the pleasure and discretion of the board. It's your option. If we're going to do that, as we take a brief recess, just check your calendars to see where we're at so we can do this, be realizing that the final product has to be completed for October. So we have to set up a date, more than likely. If it's not one of the commission meetings in August, it will have to be in September, okay? If it's one of the commission meetings. And they are limited. There's only one for August and only 2 in September. So with that, we'll take a brief recess and just be a comfort break and just look at the calendars and we can discuss that. Continue this on so we can go to item 4B. Thank you all for your input. The meeting will now be called back to order. Thank you. We've heard from some folks today, and we appreciate the input. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak regarding this matter? We will have a future date to do that, but if there's anyone that had a comment?
Yeah, I did forget one thing. You got probably three really important documents here. You have the EAR, the comp plan, and you have the LDRs. And they're kind of interlocking, and they really need to be presented as a package. The LDRs were kind of, you know, off to the side in this whole thing. So, you know, they need to be kind of redlined together.
Again, this meeting is to deliver the EAR to Tallahassee
Right.
for collection and approval and comment.
Right, but some of the comments in the EAR are shuffling off things to the LDRs and vice versa. They're taking things out of the EAR and saying they're addressed in the LDRs. So,
Agreed.
I could just,
Let me, I'll have the county
yeah,
administrator
that's fine.
explain
I just wanted to bring
the
it up.
roadmap, but we're happy
Yeah.
to look at it too.
so there is a
Okay.
statutory process, and I just want, I mean, so you do your EAR, your evaluation, you do your EAR, your evaluation appraisal, the comprehensive plan.
Right.
Then you have 1 year after that EAR's,
Right.
you know, we sent notice to Tallahassee, Florida Commerce, October
Yeah.
1st. It was approved before the board, presented, approved in November.
Correct.
To move forward. And then we, you know, draft the comprehensive plan amendments that are related to all the comments that we received from the 6 public workshops, of which 4 of them were virtual, so there was hybrid, the mapping exercises, the 200, I mean, maybe 200, I think it was 290 or something like that, people that did the online survey. So all that public comment, of which most of what was I heard today was things that we heard then. And so then they were culminated, and they were kind of went through the funnel, and then when they went through, and the matrix changed, and we could go through, it just, you know, because there's a lot that are not changed, but one of the things I think Patrick mentioned early on is, you know, our comprehensive plan was very voluminous because you have stuff that's in the comp plan that says, hey, like you mentioned, like I heard the TND or the traditional neighborhood design, and there's a policy, but the actual implementing regulation for that is in the land development regulation.
Right.
So one of the things that we sought to do was to eliminate those that were already implemented, like we've already done the land development regulations with town for the town. As a matter of fact, there's still even a reference in here in the existing plan related to activity in town centers and criteria, but those are in the land development regulations. So the state says
Correct.
after you do your comp plan amendments, then you have 1 year to adopt the corresponding land development regulations. So you got to get the comp plan approved before you can actually then, because if you could be doing stuff on a parallel track, this happens, and maybe the state, because it's not just Florida Commerce, it's all those other state agencies that are reviewing it, and then they forward their comments up to, or to the Florida Commerce Department, and then that comes back to us as one holistic report. So,
Correct.
I mean, all the comments that I've heard today, I mean, public school facilities, we work with the school district. The housing, I mean, we obviously, I mean, it's customarily not taking where you take a specific sub-area and put it out to like coastal, and put it out to beach and shores, housing, putting out to AHAC. The process wasn't designed, it was already underway, and so I think the P&Z board, I know the next one is September 11th, and that would give us literally 12 days to turn around and bring it back before the the September 23rd BCC meeting, and the only thing that I could recommend, if that was the board's inclination, is we would just go through the matrix, but if you recall in the matrix, it really kind of, it says whether there's no change, revise, or remove, and it was my understanding that our former, Planning Development Services Director met with members and met with others and went over what those changes were. And that's what Patrick's outlined in the staff report, where there are strike-through and underline policy changes.
As I said before, I went through this 15 years ago from top to bottom, so I'm very familiar with the process. My only point is that the LDRs are really an integral part of this whole process. And they really need to be seen as a workflow all the way. If you're going to address something in the EAR and say, I took it out of the EAR because it is addressed in the LDRs, somehow you need to see a flow about how everything is covered.
And to your point, the EAR is the report that is the basis to modify, revise, or change the comprehensive plan. That's where the goal, policies, objectives are. So that's the connection. The comprehensive plan is the actual policy document along with the land development regulations. The EAR is just merely the report that actually evaluates, the efficacy of which I think it was stated earlier, and I can tell you during my interview process, one of the things I think I noted in the interview was that I felt like the county had done a good job at keeping up in terms of, as statutory changes were being made, in terms of processing those to the existing comprehensive plan.
Yep. But as I said, you got a total flow here that you really need to address and make sure that each document is
consistent,
flowing
conflicting.
correctly.
And I understand your point there. The most important document of a home is the CO. That's what gets you in.
Right.
The roof is very important and the foundation is very important, and you never see either of them until they fail.
Right.
Those inspections are important too.
Right.
I'm bringing out a point that the LDRs are our roadmap. And
correct.
They are taken into consideration. But
yeah,
the EAR is our projection forward.
That whole 2008 timeframe that you keep talking about, that was all LDR related. It was a huge monumental effort in revising those LDRs and making sure that they fit with the county as we envisioned the county at that time. And that was a big problem. So, and that's why we all started the, I don't even remember what it was called, CAC, whatever.
Thank you.
Just to push that kind of stuff. So, thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, again. All right, we heard from, please come on down. Not going to be able to hear you from there.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Mugen. I'm a 40-plus year resident of Indian River County.
Thank you.
I'm also a volunteer advocate for Dark Sky International, world-recognized authority on light pollution. And I feel that no discussion of growth and development is complete without at least consideration of type of external outdoor lighting that is to be used at night. Dark Sky International is not against outdoor lighting. What they recommend is an intelligent use of outdoor lighting so that it benefits human health, safety and security, and minimum impact on the environment. I'm going to make this real brief. I'm not going to go into any of the details about light pollution right now. I would like to submit to the board for their perusal and also to the Planning Commission a copy of Dark Sky's annual report on state of science, research into the effects of light pollution. As we transition from older forms of lighting technology to the newer solid-state lighting, such as LEDs, some adverse effects from the LEDs have been cropping up, and it has a much more wide-reaching effect than previously thought. It increases sky glow, glare, clutter, and light trespass. It has effects tens of miles from its original source, and is even affecting the marine environment besides the sea turtles. I would like to submit this report to the board, and I want to also thank you very much for your service. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're happy to have it, and we'll show the clerk has a copy as well. Okay, thank you. Doc?
I don't know that I'm the last, and I'm certainly not the least, but I've saved the best for last. My name is Bob Adair. I'm chairman of the Indian River Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Supervisors. We held our meeting yesterday at 1:30. We've worked closely in the past, I myself, for 25 years with the Board of County Commission. We appreciate the funding that the county provides for our special district board. We are elected officials. Over the years, that 25 years, the primary concern is not soil conservation, rather water conservation. To me, the most important element in your EAR is the natural groundwater sub-element. I'd like to point out, I mailed our board's recommendations to Mr. Sweeney, and I will copy Mr. Dekanich and each of you on our recommendations. They're call-outs in the PDF, easy to follow. You have a voluminous matrix that's actually, when you look into it, it's quite well done, and it makes it easy to discuss the different policies. So if you have the matrix available, and you can look at Objective 2 under the natural groundwater element, Objective 2 deals with groundwater from the superficial aquifer. Objective 3 deals with groundwater from the Floridan aquifer. The point I'd like to make, the most important point, is on policy 2.6, which states, currently, by 2011, the county shall contact the U.S. Geological Survey and request an updated countywide geohydrology study. Kimley and Horn recommends states that that's an outdated policy and that it should be revised or removed. I'd like to comment that it is not outdated, that it needs to be there, and that it's incorrectly placed under superficial water as Objective 2, which deals with superficial, the upper groundwater, and should be placed in policy 3. So that's just a point that was missed, but it's a very important point, and that, in fact, our water supply currently now is being over-withdrawn, because we've increased our withdrawal rates almost 50% from 12 to 18 million gallons per day. When we were at the 12.84 million gallons per day, there was an adverse impact to an existing user that cost the county $600,000 to provide, according to water law and the water management districts. If you have an adverse impact to an existing user, you have to provide that user with whatever water they had at that time. So the county rightfully provided potable water to Countryside Citrus, the Van Antwerps, and that was one. Now, if there's an additional withdrawal along the Route 66th Avenue there could be other adverse impacts. I'm stating, in order for us to know exactly what's going on with our withdrawals, we need to do a survey cooperatively funded with USGS, with the Water Management District and the county to look at our 2,000 permitted wells in here and find out how many are leaking, how many are not being monitored, how many are being run 24/7 into a pond. That's a huge amount of waste. And the district can regulate and protect that type of usage, which is not permitted, to help close that down. So the study will give us an idea of what the infrastructure is with this myriad of permitted wells, 2,000. There's probably 12,000 that are not permitted. Anything under 6 inches into the aquifer does not require a permit. So we don't know how many are there. The last study was 38 years ago in 1988. That study can easily draw on the existing protocols that were set up and do a new one, and that way the county will know, the district will know, and the users will know what to expect in the future. Any questions or comments?
No, just thank you for bringing that up. You and I were both involved with the Van Antwerp farm dilemma due to salt intrusion. And yes, there were additional wells dropped in there to ensure that they had the proper water for farming. With that, again, during that same period of time, as you recall, there was an increased interest in grouting of abandoned wells, unknown wells, and there has been great outreach to get them grouted and ensure that we're capping off as much of the lower aquifer as we can at this time. Unfortunately, some of them are in uncharted lands that or abandoned agricultural endeavors, and they continue to flow. But there also is pond flow that people have had used the wells to fill up a little section of waterfront property, as they like. I agree that that needs to be addressed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, at this time, we are going to continue this hearing. I've asked fellow commissioners to take a look at a date. We need to do it time certain. We can't just arbitrarily say we'll come back to this at another time. So if that's the case, what's your pleasure, board, as far as continuing this hearing? We can do it attach it to the next regularly scheduled meeting, or maybe the one after that. That will give us ample time to be able to finalize this, collect any additional public input, and give you all the time to digest it all once again, and ensure that we're setting up a document. And we do have a time frame commitment. Once we do certify, we have to get it up there in a 10-day period. So, and we do have the October limitation. So have you had a chance to look at your calendars?
The only request I have is that if we are going to have another meeting on this, which I'm totally fine with, we should definitely take our time.
That's good.
The commissioners are gonna have to, at some point, give their input. Like, that was what today was supposed to be. Commissioners giving input, asking questions of staff, so that feedback was there. There's been 6 public meetings to have input. I don't disagree that we need to continuously take that input until the process is done, but you guys have to give your input too. So if we're gonna have another meeting, I'm just begging you guys to provide some input to staff so we can set the direction and move it forward. So other than that, as far as the date, I am at the pleasure of whatever everybody else wants to do. We pretty much all have kind of the same meeting schedule. So if you, the 19th meeting looks like it's shaping up to be very long, so I don't know if we really want to, you know, do that.
enough time.
And so that pushes it back to either the last meeting in August or
September 9th?
September 9th, which is our next BCC meeting.
Why don't we go ahead and do that if it pleases colleagues? I'm sure that the county administrator will adjust the agenda demands accordingly, so we do have ample time for a continued public hearing on that date. I'm sure you're up to the challenge, right? Okay.
The one thing I would say is we will get with, we'll see if we can schedule a special P&Z meeting just to review, because I thank you, Mr. Adair, Dr. Adair, because I do think the matrix really kind of walks you through so people can hone in on what's being proposed. Because it's that was the purpose and the request of the consultants, is that they, you know, tell us what the language was, what the policy number was, what was the action, and then what's the rationale. So we will work with trying to see if we can schedule either a special P&Z or maybe see if we can pull it off for this next one. And got to work. I mean, we can just take this and focus on the changes and then ask if they have any additional changes and make sure that they have provided their meaningful input, you know, versus the couple days, because they do have it. Maybe we can send out an email to them today to request that they start reviewing this in advance of that meeting.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Moss.
I just have a question. I'm not sure how we're going to go over this. What I did, the way I approached it was, I read the almost 90-page memorandum, and I have comments and questions on almost every page of the 90 pages. I didn't have time. I did look at the matrix, but for detail, I went through the memorandum. So I guess I'll ask Mr. Murphy, so what provides the most detail, the memorandum or the matrix? I mean, at this next meeting, and thank you, Commissioner Adams, for bringing these up, how do we want to address this, just so we're all going about it in the same fashion?
So the staff report that was provided was in a legislative format, so it shows all the strike-throughs, all the text that's being removed from the comprehensive plan. That was also put in red, so it's easy to see. And then all of the data that was going to be entered into the comprehensive plan was underlined, and that was put in blue, so also easy to see. So I believe that the staff report that was presented and put into Granicus and sent to the commissioners would be the proper document for the Board of County Commissioners to take a look at and go through and see if you agree or disagree with all of those changes that are being proposed, and give us that feedback so we know what we need to discuss at our next meeting coming up.
Okay.
I think that'd be my best direction.
Okay, so we'll be going through the memorandum then, the staff memorandum.
The staff report.
It's 90 pages. Okay, staff report. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So we'll have the opportunity. I mean, I'd be happy to discuss it today, but it doesn't sound like we have that consistency. So let's go forward with having that, and then we'll have the opportunity at that meeting. It now sounds like it'll be a lengthy meeting. And I'm happy to hear that. So with that, does September 9th work with everyone? Because we do have a regularly scheduled meeting, and for ease of application and attendance, and ample time to be able to fine-tune your review.
P&Z in the middle.
And yes, and so we'll be doing a special call for the P&Z, and they can go over it as well. And then we can join and marry this up on September 9th and give it a wrap to send it up to Tallahassee.
And I do want to emphasize, I know there was a comment made earlier about, well, once it's transmitted, it's transmitted. That's not entirely the case. I mean, I've been through this process before, and there are changes that may come back from, again, even the statute identifies, it's not just the state agency review, it's the local comments that are made and letters that are written. So you have the chance, before you send the final adoption up back to Tallahassee, to Florida Commerce, is to incorporate anything, prior to that date, because they're going to review it again.
I'd like to send them a new vehicle as opposed to something that needs some body and fender work. I think we owe it to the public. Okay, so does that sound fine with everyone?
Yes, sir.
September 9th? Okay. This meeting will be continued. We have a motion to continue it on the 9th. We have a motion and a second. Vice Chairman Law, seconded by Commissioner Ehrman, to continue this EAR hearing to September 9th at the regularly scheduled County Commissioner meeting. Thank you. Well, we can move on to, do you want anything else covered? Counselor, we good? Thank you, legally sufficient. Next item is probably what all of you are here for, and we'll now move on to item 4B, which is the assessment for a resolution for Water's Edge Phase 2 Culvert Replacement Project. Good morning. Adi, are you, Dr. Adi, are you speaking first, or please go?
Good morning, Honorable Chair and the Commissioners. Yes, I'll be speaking for a few minutes. I'll introduce the agenda item and some historical context, and then ask for your consideration. And after that, if you would like to open it up for public comments. So before you right now is the initial assessment resolution for Water's Edge Phase 2 project as it relates to culvert piping. Back in July, the board adopted the new Uniform Assessment Collection Act. So what this item does is basically, is being recommended to ratify the resolution that was previously adopted by the commission back in October, and then final hearing was done in April of this year. Just to give a little bit more context, last year, back in June, is when the contract with Timrose Construction Company was approved by the board for the construction of 3 pipes in Water's Edge project. The total cost for that project was about $1.4 million, and one of the things that would be proposed as part of this special assessment is the rate that would be set for September 10th public hearing. That's one of the recommendations that the staff has, that the commission or the board, set the final hearing for this new resolution on September 10th. The public has been notified, and we have the county attorney's office here as well in case there's any legal question related to the assessments or the act itself. And I stand for any questions that the commission may have. Jennifer, would you like to add anything, ma'am?
I know Chris Hicks is also here. I did want to clarify that this is not a ratification. This is actually, you're repealing the resolutions that you adopted previously for this particular special assessment, and we are recreating it under our new master ordinance. So, and I see Chris Hicks has stood up, so I'll let him, do you want to address this further, Chris?
I can give a little bit more background. As the commissioners probably recall, this was first requested many, many years ago. Actually, in 2014 was when it started, and started more in earnest in 2022. And there's back and forth between the HOA, their representatives, their attorneys, and the county attorney's office well before my time, and 2 county attorneys ago. And during that, there was an agreement finalized in 2024 in January, where Public Works put out an RFP for the project. It's 2 culvert pipes that are in the Indian River Farms Canal, which is not inside the plat of Water's Edge. It's not inside the county's right-of-way either. It's, as everyone's aware, Indian River Farms controls their property completely. Water's Edge, their HOA or their construction documents, they hold the permit to the crossovers for those canals. We do not hold them. We do not have any access to them, it's solely Water's Edge purview. We do work on their public roads. We do not do any of their drainage infrastructure. That was from 2006. There was an agreement for the county to take over their roads, but not the drainage, not the stormwater, any of those issues. That's solely for the roads. These culvert pipes, however, are in Indian River Farms. They're not part of the plat. They're not part of our roads. They are solely a permitted crossover of Indian River Farms. They only benefit the residents of Water's Edge because ultimately it would benefit the county and the residents more if there were no culverts there. It's just like sucking water through a straw. If you take it right out of the cup, it's much easier to get more water through, but we're putting straws in the canal so people can access their homes. And that is essentially what happened. And so we agreed to put this project with another project the county had to do, which is slightly farther east of one of our culverts that goes underneath our road through our right-of-way. And so we combined the projects to save money overall because there's no more fees to have two separate projects. We did them all together. And at the time, we came to an agreement on the number of years through their attorney, Mr. Sweeney. We went back and forth some time, and then as the board's aware, the board passed those resolutions, but then with this new ordinance, or the new ordinance we put in place a month ago, it makes sense to come back, and there were some concerns about possibly not everybody being aware of everything, and so we want to make sure to be very open and transparent. Nobody's ever tried to do anything other than be that way, and so if there are those concerns, we want to hear them and make sure that we're responsive to that. And I know all the board members have said the same thing. So we're back today with a new resolution, as Ms. Schuler stated, to repeal the old ones, start over under this new ordinance, so everything moving forward actually tracks our new ordinance, so we have a very uniform system, and we don't have any of these one-offs going off all through we have a very uniform system. That's the point of the new ordinance. And I guess a little more long-winded than I meant to be, but that's the summation of where we are today. If you have any questions, be happy to address them, or if there's some in the future.
Thank you. Do you have any further?
No other comments at this time.
Are there any questions of staff, of Adi, regarding this matter?
So, Mr. Chair, to summarize what Mr. Hicks said, years ago, this subdivision, the roadway, asked the county to take it over. We took over the roadway, not the other items, right? Which is very unusual. We no longer, generally speaking, don't have that as a practice.
Correct.
In evaluating what I would call sinkholes, if you will. So there was 2 sinkholes outside of Water's Edge. To the east, there was a separate, distinct sinkhole that was our responsibility, the county's. These other 2, not our responsibility. It's how they get in and out of their neighborhoods. In an effort to decrease the cost of mobilization, for us to fix ours just to the east of theirs, that's how this began. And then in concert with their homeowners association and attorney's office and ours, as Mr. Hicks mentioned, going back and forth to come up with a resolution to ease and offset the expenses. That's how we've got to this special assessment. And I may have missed a few details.
No, I think you did pretty well.
But somebody would wonder why we were involved anyway. Well, we had our own separate sinkhole to take care of.
Correct. And it's a matter of larger numbers, cost reduction. But in the end, it is an increased concern, financial concern for all who live within the confines of this subdivision. Artie, could I say how much involvement did staff have with the community as far as informational?
So we've notified the public about the hearings in the past, and we've done the same thing on the project. And then on our website and social media pages, we also include information about the regular project progresses. And in addition to that, we also include the road closures and anytime, there's any inconvenience to the residents. So some of that communication goes out regularly.
So, and we do that in the form of postcards?
For public hearings and stuff like that, yes, sir, those goes either via the postcards or sent out the mailers to all the residents to
And
notify
we
them.
do have evidence that excuse me. You'll have your opportunity. Is there evidence that this has been delivered and not returned?
We have the information and we can certainly provide that to you, you know. We track all that information, so the staff has all the names and where the letters were sent, so we can certainly share that information.
And how many times was that done?
It was at least done twice in my knowledge, but again, I can go back and double check to see. Just like what we did is that we either put it in the newspaper sometimes for public hearings and stuff, and other times we've also sent out the notifications and the mailers, including the postcards. That's what we did this last time around for this hearing, and that's what we intend to do for the September 10th hearing, sir.
And did we have the opportunity to have attendance of any meeting?
So, I mean, this is the only platform where we have done the meetings. There hasn't been any other public meetings with the residents that I'm aware of, like, you know, any project-specific meetings.
And have you had any contact with any individuals from the subdivision regarding this matter?
I believe there has been communication or coordination with the residents, with the project team, but other than that, there's been few requests that has come in, and, you know, we've made contact with the residents, but that's the extent of it.
I'm aware that, well, I understand that other commissioners have had contact as well. And I'm aware that the attorney's office has had some contact. Is that fair?
Yes, sir. And as far as, for this hearing, there's not required public notice.
Right.
As far as publication in the newspaper. The next hearing there will be. However, for the last hearing in April, there was public notice that was filed on 325 and 401. We're required to do it twice, and so it was done. And we have the receipts for those as were actually filed with the board at the time. They were publicly noticed in the newspaper. And prior to that, I can't speak with how the team has worked with them since then, but I know I was in the construction meeting, the pre-construction meeting, one of my first weeks here last year with members of the HOA and their property management association, as well as we were in at least 3 other meetings with representatives of the HOA and their attorney last fall, discussing the details, answering any questions we have, and modifying the length of time with which they were asking it to be. Initially, we were going to do 10 years, but because that price went up significantly, went up to over $500, we agreed to add another 5 years, wanted to keep it down on a rate that we were told by the HOA president was affordable. And that was through their attorney, Mr. Sweeney. I believe it was 9/20 of last year.
So the HOA president met with who?
Well, at different times, there was meetings with myself, Mr. DeBraw, Bill DeBraw, former county attorney, Pete Sweeney, and other times with Ms. Schuler, we had another meeting. And then also we had the pre-construction meeting. It was last July 17th, where members from all the people involved, including the contractor, were there to answer any questions concerning ancillary impacts and where they were going to stage equipment and those sorts of things. That was in July of last year.
I just want to ensure that the HOA president had contact with this process throughout, as opposed to just publicly noticed today.
To my knowledge, I can only answer what the emails I've had or in the contacts with their attorney. Since they are represented, I would not speak with any of them directly. However, I do know that there were emails as late as October of last year from their attorney saying I had a meeting with them and expressed that. And the meeting we had with Ms. Schuler was on 9/20 of 2024. When it was after she came over, we had another meeting to update all of that with Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that there was contact, meetings, and discussion and record of therein. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And we actually, just to one more part about that, is at that meeting, we agreed to move the hearing back 2 more weeks because we had changed the numbers slightly. So we wanted to make sure they had time to review those and have any questions to come back to us. So we agreed. Originally, the meeting was going to be earlier in September and went to later so we could provide more information if they had any more questions for us.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Do you have anything further?
Nothing, sir, just like I said, and kind of add a little more to what Chris said, is that there's been regular project meetings, And there has been ongoing communication and coordination from different county staff members, and especially the project team, as the project's been moving forward. I know county attorney, assistant county administrator, and some of the other folks have also been out in the field to look at the project in the recent past.
Mr. Chair, may I just make
Please.
one more comment? The homeowners association has new counsel, and our office sent their new counsel. Again, we aren't going to directly deal with them because that's not appropriate because they're represented by counsel, but we sent their counsel that complete timeline that Mr. Hicks just read out to you so that they know all of the contacts that we've had, and that we sent them hundreds, if not thousands, of documents we sent to her just so she could review it all.
We sent over 100 emails plus a number of documents. All of these are referenced from an email, so that's where my timeline comes from. And we had another few thousand emails that she didn't wish to review because they were prior to the last year and a half. But we did provide any documents that she requested in our contact with her.
And you doubled up on that because there was a change in representation by the HOA?
There was, and we had gotten a letter of concern from her, and it became apparent that she just wasn't aware of the history because she was new and on board. Mr. Hicks and I met with her. We gave her every document she asked for. We gave her that complete timeline. We gave her this resolution that you're going to be considering today, and told her we'd answer any question or provide any information she wanted. So we have tried to remedy the concerns that we're hearing from that neighborhood that they're not being heard or getting information. We want to make sure that their attorney's provided with all that.
Thank you, counsel. I appreciate it. Well, we're here today to adopt a resolution, and I wanted to ensure that everyone understood what the resolution was about. You briefly covered that, as well as the attorney as far as communication. But while this is not a public hearing, we would like to hear from the public who've taken the time to be here. So we'd like to ask, if you're seeing no further questions from the board, if anyone would like the opportunity to speak regarding this matter, please come forward, state your name for the record.
Hello again. My name is Allison
And I just
Giordano.
wanted, yes,
Catch the name?
I didn't catch the name.
Allison Giordano, president of Water's Edge HOA. And though some of those facts were stated, some of them were incorrectly stated. We have never agreed on anything. There is no written document signed by the HOA, any of its representatives, to what these costs are going to be. We've never received anything in the mail other than the one postcard notice about today's meeting. Any other meeting addressing this has never been mailed to us. That specifically is for our assessment. There's been a lot of change over the years, at least 5 years of the county, whether it be administrators, attorneys, your lower level departments. There's been times we've tried to reach out for information with no answer. So this has not been straightforward. It's been very frustrating. And honestly, I feel like there's been a lot of smoke and mirrors. So unless you can prove to us there's an agreement for this $540,000 assessment or whatever the number is now, because I don't know, I would like to see it. And lots of other residents here would like to see it as well. So that's all I have to say. Anything else we will say through our attorney, but people are here to make their public comments because that's what we thought hearing number 1 was for this reassessment.
Mr. Chair, would you like?
Please, Counselor.
Would you like me to address
There's no
the
applause.
matter of an agreement? Technically, you do not have to have a written agreement to have a special assessment. We have different types of special assessments. They just have to provide a special benefit to private property, and the benefit that's provided, that's paid for by those private residents, has to be proportional. So, we create neighborhood assessments, and we try to work with neighborhoods, sometimes through their HOAs, sometimes directly with groups of neighbors. You have some special assessments for public amenities like your solid waste. There's no written agreements for any of these. There's no written agreements that are required. So I understand that there's some confusion on her part, but I don't think that this makes it an invalid special assessment because she expects that there's going to be some sort of contract written. I've been working on public assessments for many years, and we've also retained outside counsel who's an expert on this, and I've never seen an agreement that would to create a neighborhood special assessment. So I understand that you're saying that's your expectation, but from a legal perspective, I don't think it's required.
Okay, then from a legal perspective, our attorney has issued to you addressing the fact that we are not specially benefited by this canal that failed. If I remind you, these culverts were permitted for concrete pipe. They were not installed as concrete pipe, and they failed much sooner than they should because they were installed as corrugated pipe. So that was mistake number one on the county's part by approving a permit not constructed to permit. So we wouldn't even be in this mess right now had it been constructed properly. But our attorney has issued the fact that, in her opinion, in case law, she states in the letter that she sent to you, that we should not be solely assessed. It should be anybody that this canal impacts. So I don't understand why our attorney, the current attorney that we have, her letter that she sent is not being considered in this assessment. I mean, she referenced almost 9,000 properties.
Would you like me to
Have we
address
seen
that?
Yes, and have we seen this document? Have we seen this document? Have you seen this document?
This letter, yes, and that's kind of what kicked all of this off when we were under the understanding that there was some confusion. We did get that letter from her, and that's why when we started providing her all the documentation that she asked for, Mr. Hicks and I had a meeting directly with their attorney, and we discussed it all in detail, and I told her my legal opinion about why I believe there was a private benefit. I think that she was basing her legal assessment on a post that Public Works made about our public project that was happening in conjunction with this private project. But, Mr. Hicks, do you have any other comments to make about that? I think she was misunderstanding what the project was. So since we've had that meeting, when I had that meeting with her, after we'd given her all this documentation, I specifically told her that it was my intention to meet with every single commissioner, and I asked her if she had anything else that she wanted me to convey to them. And she said no, and I've never heard another word from her about it. So I do think there was just some misunderstanding on her part because she did not know the history. But I can't speak for her, and I don't know, apparently she's not here today. Mr. Hicks, do you have something?
Just to clarify, the 9,000 homes, we're talking about the culvert that goes, I'm sorry, that can be heard. The 9,000 homes refers to the whole canal system, and that refers to the culvert pipe that was installed under the road. That without that, the road would fail and all the drainage would stop. Again, this is a permit, Indian River Farms permit, not an Indian River County permit, to have that construction. Those two culverts benefit only the citizens, only the homeowners in that development. Because if you take them out, the canals work better. This is no different than any other culvert, any other place. It benefits only the people who use it to cross over. It does not benefit the county because the canals drain better without them. Additionally, as far as the agreement, there were emails 9/20, or I'm sorry, let me switch to the right page. 9/12/2023, the HOA was review it. 10/9, HOA agrees to MSBU proposal by the county. This was from Pete Sweeney after an HOA meeting on 10/9/2023. Then 1/31/2024, the HOA president sent an email to a number of parties asking why it hadn't started yet. We've agreed to the MSBU, why is it not started yet? Just for clarity.
So Chris, you just indicated that at some point, the homeowners association agreed on the special assessment,
Based on the emails from their attorney at the time, yes.
okay?
Can we get those dates again, please? I would like to review those emails.
email from Mr. Sweeney was 10/9/2023. And 1/31/2024, request an update on the MSBU agreement from the county and desire to wrap this project up.
10/9/2023. And when? What was the second one, Chris?
January 31st, 2024.
Well, I can tell you, as HOA president, nothing's been agreed.
can't-
We've always,
I can't hear you.
I was saying, as HOA president, I can tell you, nothing was ever agreed, that we were always going to have the opportunity for our homeowners to speak about this. And so it's still,
And you are right now.
yes, so we're hoping that something could be changed before this is finalized, that either it not be assessed at all, or it be spread out amongst more homes in the community. And everything our attorney says to us, what she tells us, is that we are right, and that we are being treated unfairly, yet it continues to happen. I mean, I'm
That's
acting on
not
our
what-
legal counsel.
No, and that's not the message we're getting, and it appears that when, before the meeting, I was told that the HOA president has never heard of this before today, and I
It's been in
was-
discussion, it's not been an agreement.
Wait. Did you hear what I just said about heard of this?
Yes.
And now you're saying it has been a discussion. But I was told earlier that you had never heard of this before, that we have had no communication. And the record so reflects that there is quite a bit of communication, and it was to the representative that you formerly had employed, which was
Pete Sweeney.
Pete Sweeney. Okay?
Yes.
Now you've changed the attorney. The attorney has a different opinion. And now they're going back and trying to find out if they're in agreement. Our legal office has ensured that your new attorney has all the information and has communicated and has verified that. And you're even admitting that you've heard of this before, but that was just discussion. No, there's no signed contract when it comes to this work. And actually, this work is, although it's a cost factor, it's saving you money on the project.
In other words, it would have to be done sooner or later, and
Do it
it would be
separately.
borne by the homeowners association. And the other issue is, were there minutes of this 2023 homeowners association meeting? You'd think you would have to take a vote of some way, depending on your HOA bylaws. So it's hard for me to believe that the residents weren't informed in some way. There had to be some neighborhood chatter or a HOA meeting about this. So it shouldn't be a huge shock, I wouldn't think. If somebody, meaning your body, agreed and then followed up with an email through council about, by the way, where are we at on this? That makes me believe that there's a disconnect between your attorney and your HOA. And that's unfortunate.
And, you know, again, knowing the evidence of the discussion, I'm gonna ask everybody that's here. But there was communication, and I'll tell you what, in these trying economic times, nobody wants to incur a cost factor. I get it. And I think that's what the biggest basis of the concern is. We don't need an additional cost factors. And I understand that, but you do need access to your community. And it's not the county's responsibility to replace all of the conduit that gives you the access. So we spread it out, we put it together. We have 3 separate points that have to be addressed. It becomes cost conducive to be able to do it all in one shot, as opposed to per location, which would be even more costly to the homeowners. And this way, the job is done right, fair, consistent, and yes, there's an ability to, this is not a upfront cost. This is spread out. Is that correct, Counselor?
15 years.
And how many years is it? I know it's over 15 years?
Yeah, and the costs were all decided without our input. The
I don't know
contractors
how
were
you would-
decided without our input.
And I don't
So-
understand how you would be able to have input onto the cost, because it's the cost of doing the business at the time of the transaction and not at
But I mean, if
any
you're
other
saying that this was
time.
our
So
responsibility.
we can't say, well, can you know a place, conduit is us, can you want to supply them, and then maybe we can get a few of the homeowners to load the dirt? No, that's not the way it works. This is a well-engineered project.
You'd have to come up
I
here.
can't hear you from the audience. And we're happy to hear your input.
I'm sorry, I'm just an average person. My name is Shalini, and this was never our fault. You guys failed to do a final permit, it should have been stopped right there. How does this fall on us?
No,
How can you put this on us?
we-
Right? It should have been a concrete culvert, and it ended up being a corrugated, and the county did a final inspection and passed it? How does this become us? We weren't our owners of those houses. I didn't own that house at that time. I had no idea what I was getting into. How is this my responsibility?
Adi, can you answer the material matter as to what was there then and what is there now and what will be there and why that material exists where it is? That'll clarify something for.
And Mr. Chair, I believe it was who was it that was the permit? Indian River was water controlled, that was the permitting agency for that pipe, but
Correct,
So-
and I was going to add the same thing, is that.
Right.
That the
I know.
pipes basically belong to the Indian River Farms Water Control District, so the decision whether to use metal pipes versus concrete pipes probably would have been done by the district, but in terms of like, us putting the concrete pipes, obviously we're trying to extend the life. Back in the days when this subdivision was being constructed, there was a lot of concrete pipes used throughout the state, so I don't think it was something just unique to this location. It was just basically being used as a standard practice back in the days for bigger pipes where it would be used. Obviously, that has changed, and recently even state has looked into the opportunity to actually move from metal pipes to the concrete pipes, especially because of the soil composition in coastal communities like ours. So those are some of the consideration, but I can go back, look into like some of the information that's being shared, why the concrete pipe was replaced with a metal pipe. But I mean, just based on what I know of the history and the best practices, that's probably what I can gather might have happened back in the days when that happened. But obviously, the county wasn't responsible for the permitting and may not have any say.
Right, we don't sign off on that, and it was the Water Control District. So if that's the case, now you're stating that the practice was you can interchange, you believe?
Yes, one of the things is that concrete pipes tends to be much more costly,
Sure.
whereas metal pipes seems to be a little bit more economical for neighborhoods and stuff like that. So that could be a consideration. And obviously, from the district's perspective, maybe going with the metal pipes might have been based on this decision to be less costly for the neighborhood. But again, just like I said, without looking into some of those considerations back in the day, I might not have all the information at
So
this
even
time.
in today's environment, it would not be recommended nor substituted, but going back 30 years, perhaps maybe that was the adjustment made necessary to ensure that they had a conduit.
You are correct, sir. Yeah, I mean, these days, we wouldn't recommend putting a metal pipe anywhere in the county, and especially a big 60-inch or a big size pipe.
But that's not a practice today, and nor would it be recommended because of deterioration of
Yes.
the metal conduit, corrugated
sir.
conduit. And I see in some locations of residential driveways, they're using PVC.
So yes, the recommendation these days as a best practice in the industry is to use PVC or the plastic pipe because the corrosion factor is not as bad as it relates to the corrugated metal pipes that were used back in the days.
Many of the materials, the data sheets have changed in as far as application over these many years.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just as an aside to that, and it doesn't make anybody here feel any better, but unfortunately, this is a problem throughout the county right now. We have another couple coming up in the near future where they're requesting assistance in the same way, because it's happening everywhere, because contractors, to save money, put in lesser quality. It happens all the time on our own houses. And it's coming, and I know it's not gonna make anybody feel any better about it, but that's just the fact of it, is people use pipes that weren't as good as we would have liked, but that doesn't change the responsibility.
We're out over time.
You had something?
I have a question for Audie, and maybe Commissioner Orr can help me on the timeline of this, because I know this issue started, it was like my first important letter after I got elected in 2020 from Pete Sweeney, who was with Scarpa and company attorneys about this issue. And after that, another year went by, I didn't hear too much, and then Pete left the firm, and he's on his own, and I guess they've got different counsel, but, so that's really only my part of it, but my question for you is, and you said there was a sinkhole on one side and a sinkhole on the other. We had to repair the sinkhole on the roadside.
Ours, right.
So they had one on that side, so it makes sense to do it all at one time. But how we do it and the size pipe that's put in, we have to get a permit and an okay from Indian River Farms Water Control District, right? So to answer her question, we don't permit what goes in the ditches. That's a totally Indian River Farms Water Control District, not Indian River County. So if Ward or David Gunner said we had to put a 60-inch pipe in or 80-inch pipe in, that's what we would have to put. Concrete, corrugated, PVC, whatever, they make that decision. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that because I'm having an issue with a family on 16th Street in the canal right now. They're having the same problem. Their culvert is failing, and we worked it out with them to say this is between the homeowner and Indian River Farms Water Control District to decide what goes in that ditch. So, okay, that's all I got. I just wanted to clarify that.
And to follow up on that single residence off of 16th Street that we're both familiar with, their estimates were a lot of money for one driveway.
Oh, yeah.
Just to put things in perspective.
Yes.
Driveway, drop it down.
Right, $50,000, $60,000 for one culvert.
Up to 240,000.
Up to 240, one driveway.
Yes.
So just to summarize, the permitting agency and the regulatory agency in this case would basically be the district or the Farms Water Control District. And basically statewide, back in the days, the practice has been to use metal pipes, and a lot of agencies right now are dealing with replacing those metal pipes with concrete or plastic pipes.
Right.
Just depending on the size and how close you are in proximity to the bay and some of the soil compositions.
But our obligation was we had to fix the road. Or the First Street Southwest, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But, Mr. Chair, I go back to my concern over, somewhere along the line, there was a homeowners association meeting and a vote was taken. Is there anyone here that objects that there was some type of vote taken for this MSTU?
You do take minutes of the meeting?
Hi, I'm Letitia Wood, and I'm a resident of Water's Edge.
Right.
But if I may ask the president, I don't remember voting on a certain amount of money to get this done.
You couldn't have because we didn't know the price.
Okay, so what was your question?
Did you vote on an agreement to have this taxing district imposed on you didn't vote on that?
No.
So
No.
we're hearing from an
We have-
attorney.
And I don't know where you're getting your information from, but one, we did not get notified from any of the meetings in April. You said that you sent out postcards, and we didn't get any. How many Water's Edge? Let me just, raise your hand, Water's Edge resident? Did you get any postcard? Just today? Okay, so
No, in
we
the
have,
past.
pardon?
In the past.
No. Zero.
I can only speak to the publication in the newspaper, and I know when that was done. And I never said otherwise.
We won't be having any of that.
I'll go to the other side, so I don't want to take your
Sure,
spot.
yes, thank you.
I can only speak, as I stated, I knew when the newspaper ads were put out for the April hearing. I don't know about any other, whether any of the other communication, and my information is based upon emails from their attorney, Pete Sweeney, and one from the current, I guess, still current HOA president, asking what the process or the progress of the MSBU was taking. I wasn't present in an HOA meeting. I have to assume from their attorney and his information and knowing Mr. Sweeney that he's not lying to me. But the email that he sent to Mr. DeBrawl at the time was, we had a meeting last night and they agreed to the MSBU to take care of this problem because there was 2 years worth of emails and conversations as to who was responsible for it. And that started actually in 2014, an email from Rob Skoke letting the HOA then know that the county was not responsible for it, back as far as 2014. What happened in the meeting, I can't speak to. I can just speak to Mr. Sweeney's emails the next day saying that they had a meeting and they were agreeable to it.
But he advised that he did have that meeting.
Correct.
I'm party to that email, too.
And what-
I'm party to that email. Within my first month, we had a one-on-one with Rich Dillon to discuss this issue. The county was doing a project, they were having issues, and I'm party to the email because I met with Pete Sweeney as well.
And that was when?
Well, my email, I met with Pete Sweeney like in May of 2023. I started April 17th of 2023. That's how this came on my radar quickly.
Yeah.
But to his point, I have the October 9th meeting where it says, "Good afternoon, John and Bill. I have an update. What I consider to be good news on this matter. The association agrees with the county's proposal and approach to the situation. Please let me know what I need to do, bring this forward, if anything, and I thank you for your cooperation, patient. Pete Sweeney, Block Scarpa, the same firm you have now."
Allison, can you come up here, please?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I mean, I'd also like to say one of the first I just got here, and I had a meeting with Pete Sweeney and the HOA president. It was a Zoom call, but she could see her, I could see her, she could see me, Chris was there. We discussed this, the project had already started. We talked about what the amount was gonna be. We talked about the final hearing that was gonna happen. Like
But-
Chris said, so I'm not talking to any of you. I'm saying, as far as I was concerned as county attorney, there was an understanding and awareness on the part of the HOA. Now, what you were thinking when we had that meeting, I don't know, but I felt clear that everybody was on
You're
the-
misdirecting that
Everything
meeting.
was on the same page.
Any meeting I've ever had, I've stated we are not responsible or didn't feel we were responsible for any assessment.
We were
You
talking
didn't
about
say
it.
anything in that meeting. You said nothing.
So someone had said, I think, Joseph, you had mentioned that she was not aware of these meetings. She was very involved in it. What we were not informed of is that we were going to be responsible for $6,500 of this construction. That's, for, in our neighborhood only. And the culverts were taken care of, yeah, but then they crossed over on First Street Southwest. That's a major thoroughfare in Vero Beach. First Street Southwest, 4th Street, 8th Street, 16th, 20th Avenue. These roads are, so if it's a major thoroughfare on the south end of Vero Beach, there are more communities on there that use that First Street Southwest. So why is Water's Edge the only community that's being assessed? When,
My recollection was, we were getting ready to proceed with the First Street project regardless of Water's Edge, and we were approached about the ability to, I think, as Commissioner Laura said, the mobilization of forces at one time, and we offered, actually, I recall delaying the project so we could get this done.
so you're saying that going over First Street Southwest is not in the assessment that
It
we're
is
being?
not in your assessment, no.
No,
ma'am.
no.
Okay, so then
The
it's just,
county's absorbing all that
We're
cost.
paying almost $900,000 to do that project.
the culverts.
Yeah, the First Street Southwest culvert. The county, the whole project is $1.5 million, or
So I'm talking
roughly.
about the one that's being crossed over on First Street Southwest.
Correct. The
Okay.
only ones that Water's Edge is responsible for are the two
your-
entry points into Water's Edge. The
Subdivision.
culvert across First Street Southwest is the project that we added the two together to save mobilization cost and to try to save economies of scale. That the county paid for, and it's, I can get the exact number, but it's $878,000 roughly.
Okay, so someone had said that there was, on 16th Street, there was a project that's being done, and it was,
Not being done.
or whatever, but the amount was like 250,000 for one?
She had bids everywhere from 30,000 to 250,000 to get it repaired.
Okay,
And that would be borne by her, not the county.
And it's a one-lane driveway.
And the one thing I would like to add to this, and I'm, and I do distinctly remember in a meeting with Pete and the former county attorney and the former public works director, is that the conversation was had that while, yes, the county took over the responsibility for the roads, it wasn't until such time that the homeowners association brought the roads up to county standards before we would take them over. We never take over roadways unless they are actually meet the county standards. So that's the only reason why the county took over those roads, because the community brought those roads up to standard.
yeah, we
And so what I'm trying to say, it's the same principle. The county did not make the decision on the permitting. I've got the permits here with Indian River Water District.
Whether
They're
it
the one that
was- I'm
permitting,
sorry
and then
to
they came back
interrupt.
2 years later, and they asked for the alternate
Okay.
material that was approved
I understand that.
by
But
the developer.
It's, the problem is still being deflected, okay? We were not the ones responsible, whether it's the water district, it was a mistake that was made. And we, the homeowners at Water's Edge, are the ones that are being responsible for this, that we had no idea was gonna happen. So we're asking is for this amount to be assessed to whoever uses First Street Southwest, not just Water's Edge. Don't deflect it that it was their problem, it's not our problem. You know what? It's our
You're
problem.
mixing two of these components. The other portion is being bared by not the HOA. You have
Yes, First
an
Street, I
entry and
understand
an
that, and we
exit
thank
that have
you.
to be covered. The history is that many years ago, they interchanged whatever piping was applied or available or necessary.
Okay.
That's with the Water Control District, that's not with,
And like I said,
Us.
I understand that, but we're the ones that are paying the bill for somebody else's mistake.
And I'm sorry if I interrupt. The pipes were permitted and they are legal, available, legitimate pipes. It's not that somebody snuck in something that was below
it's not an
builder's grade.
inferior product.
Right. It is not as good of a product. It's not the premium one. And unfortunately, the builder didn't put in the premium one, but this was a legal product that they put in. But I just wanted to clarify the numbers, so I had those. The whole project is $1,366,739.
The county is responsible for 828,764 of that, and Water's Edge is responsible for the remaining 537,974.50, which also includes a force account that, from my understanding, has barely been touched, so that will be a refund back to that account, so hopefully it will be under $500,000. I don't want to give an estimate because I don't know, because I'm not in the project, but it will be significantly reduced from that price once the force account and the final accounting is completed. But I don't know that price until the final accounting. I asked Adi today, he didn't know yet either because we haven't got that paperwork yet. So it's, once that, it will be reduced from this number, but that is the exact numbers. I just want to be very clear because I was a little bit higher than what I thought it was in the last one I just stated. So that's the current numbers.
So 500 even divided by 86 homes. Can somebody do the math?
Divided by 15. It's a 15-year.
Right, but, so we have 86 homes or 89? 86 homes divided by that amount, 500 something.
Correct. And then the process that was used would offset or defer that lump sum, and it will be placed on your property taxes for
Right.
15 years. If you sell your house, that's portable with the new homeowner will
We
absorb it.
understand
After
that.
15 years, that special assessment dissolves.
I understand that, but I still, someone give me the number, if they can use a calculator, please. I don't have one up here. 5,800, $5,800 per home. It's nice that we've been given that option to pay it in our taxes, but it's $5,000 per home. Or, I'm sorry, almost 6,000. That's a lot of money. And it's just to Water's Edge. We're not the only ones that live off of that first street.
But you're the only ones that use the entrance and the exit to Water's Edge. That's the whole idea here.
Fire safety, police,
I'm sorry?
deliveries.
You're correct, to the benefit of your property. Without those culverts, you'd have difficulty for police and/or fire safety to respond. So that's the reason why you have the culverts, because you can get in and out of the community yourself. It's to the benefit of the community,
You know,
those
and
culverts.
when you talk about an email where we agreed, there's also an email from a former county attorney saying there was funds in some program within the county to pay for everything. So why wasn't it covered at that email?
Right, isn't there that's one of the things that I wanted to bring to the forefront. Isn't there a budget that the county has to, for the roads and things that you can access?
For
I mean-
public infrastructure, not private infrastructure.
Okay. I'm still to the point where it was done wrong the first place.
That's not our
That's the
responsibility.
county, yeah.
It's not your fault, it's not their fault, but you know what? We're still stuck with it.
Right.
And that's why we're here. We're asking, please, consider something. We're residents that are, just myself, I'm involved in my community. In faith-based, with volunteering at the beach. When you were sheriff, you did the academy. I'm just one person. We have 86 homes we have Mr. Nightingale, who's involved with the veterans.
Yeah.
We have other people here that are involved in the community, faith-based people. So we're not just people that don't do anything for our community. We are involved. We love Vero Beach. I've been here 21 years. I came up from Fort Lauderdale, ran from the traffic down there.
Me too.
Welcome.
Yes,
So-
yeah.
so
So
now-
we're here because, we care, but then we also don't want our pockets to be, some of us are retired, and some of us are not here because you have to work. So we have very hardworking people and retired people. So to put that on us, please, I'm asking if there's anything that you can do. try and find something where it, you can help us. There's members on this committee where you have gone to, I'm involved with the conservatives of, the Hispanic conservatives of Indian River County, where you have come to our club to petition and ask for our help and for our vote. Okay, we're here coming to you to ask for your help. Help us somehow.
We understand that, ma'am, and please recognize, I think the chairman said something earlier about 170,000 people. We have dozens, if not hundreds, of similarly situated neighborhoods, residents, and the like. It would not be feasible for the county to go and repair each and every one of those. This is a mechanism that the county has had and every county in the state has had. For example, South County, south of you, if we have a neighborhood with dirt roads, for example, and they desire to have those paved, that becomes something very similar to what Water's Edge. We would have a special assessment on each homeowner in there to improve their roads. That's just an example. We have dozens of special assessments throughout the county of certain neighborhoods that have similar problems. So
Okay.
you are not just the only one, and we are doing it from our view, not only as a benefit to you, but very much a cost-saving measures for you.
Okay, I have
And
a
some
question.
would argue that it could enhance your homeowner's value as well.
Yeah. So has anyone looked to find out if maybe there's a grant or something that can be
Generally
used?
speaking,
For private, we're struggling to take the septic to sewer mandate. There are individuals, private residents, are going to be private costs, up to the tune of $15,000, $20,000, and we're trying to figure out how to find funds for that, and there's no private funding for that. Legislature tells us they're not going to fund it. There's typically no government funding for the private responsibility.
So I don't understand how, because there's a culvert or there's a canal, and something has to be put on there, so from First Street Southwest, so you can get into our neighborhood, how that thing, which I call the road, is not a road that can be accessed. I mean, that can be, where does it change from First Street Southwest into our neighborhood that this little culvert is not a road?
Where the canal line is, that's,
Underneath.
That's-
That's underneath, but on the top,
Yeah,
it's a
that's-
road.
when the subdivision was built, it was built with those two access points, and those two access points are paid for by the developer.
Okay.
So long before any of you lived there, when it was established, those two access points are part of the project. They are bared upon, and actually, the price you pay for the home included all of that infrastructure and included those two entries, the entry and exit into your subdivision. Okay, so it's inclusive at that point. I'll tell you, look, I realize this is an impact. I remember many years ago when I was notified that you're getting water, and I said, no, thanks, I have perfectly good well water. I got this reverse osmosis system, and I have a filtration system. They said, okay, thank you. And then I got the bill in the mail, okay? And I had to pay when I was raising two kids on one salary, and there it was, several $1,000s with no option to spread it out, either pay or play. Okay, so I paid it, and I continued to use well water for the next 10 years. I just hooked up the county water, but I paid for that pipe when I wasn't even using it. And unfortunately, I can bring you to scenario about infrastructure costs. The county administrator just mentioned something about this whole septic to sewer mandate by the state legislature, okay? We're down to 5 years. you realize we're talking about billions of dollars in infrastructure that has to be spread out, that has to be bared by the ratepayer, the homeowner, and the county as well to ensure that we comply with this mandate. This is not one alone, but in looking at that aggregate number over 15 years divided by 12, comes out to $31 a month. I didn't pare it down to dumb it down to say, see how inexpensive it is? I'm just saying that that's the way we have to look at it to ensure that we deliver what you need. In essence, this project, this resolution, is coupling what we're obligated to do and what you're obligated to do. And that's what this agreement is about, this resolution, because you don't have the mobilization cost. You don't have to go out to get an individual and give you a price. As you heard from one of the commissioners, the price was anywhere between $30,000 and $80,000. On average, every one of those driveways, once your driveway cement cracks and you have to replace that culvert, you're looking at a minimum of $25,000. I don't know what we could do to replace your pipes that were installed many years ago.
I don't know either, but that's why I'm here, to see if there's anything that can be done. So, thank you for hearing me out. And if anybody else wants to say anything.
No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate this young lady making a statement very passionately. I get it. We pay bills,
Mr. Chair.
we pay taxes, and we have to get service, and sometimes these things come up. Again, I wanted to share the water story because I wasn't too happy about writing that check.
But my thing is, bottom line is, you move forward with all this construction without our actual approval, even though you have an email that you
None of that is
claim-
true. You are making false statements. Again, there's evidence of notification, discussion. You yourself have mentioned about your previous counselor. Again, there may not be minutes to your meeting, but there was.
There can be discussion without approval. That's what happened.
Okay.
Discussion.
I think we're talking semantics now, okay? Look, I understand.
But you're about to approve a resolution to assess us for construction that we don't feel we're responsible for.
You don't feel you're responsible for, but it is.
And our attorneys have advised us we shouldn't be responsible for.
Well, it's your property. It's your access. It's part of the development. It's not part of the roadway.
Mr. Chair, if I could add also, it's not lost on us that in 2006, the county took over your roads within your neighborhood, which is not usual. The second thing is, had the county not taken over your roads in '06, per your request, your homeowner's request, you would be specially assessed for resurfacing your roads. That is borne now by the county, which is unusual in today's standards. So those roadways are maintained by the county. Most private neighborhoods are not. So if that adds any consolation.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name's Bill Griffith. I'm the resident of Phase 2. I live right next to all that construction going on in First Street. I've sat there and watched them move big piles of dirt from one side of the road to the other. The next day they come back and they move it back and forth. I cannot understand how this amount of money can be approved by anyone. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Not only what we're being assessed, but what you're paying. You should be asking the question, Why is it so much money? Who's getting paid? I'll leave that with you.
These guys seem like they want to talk.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from everyone.
Calm down.
Short and sweet. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's been a long morning. I'm Barbara Leoy. I live at Water's Edge, and my address is 222 37th Drive, Southwest. I came here with several questions, of which I have gotten answers from. My first question was, are the culverts within the domain of Water's Edge? And so I have learned today, yes, they are. So we own them, and moving forward, if they fail, is that on us again? Is one question I have. There is a residential property between our two entrances. It looks like a mansion. I don't know who lives there. There's no address on the mailbox. But what I'd like to know is, why are they not responsible? They're right between our two entrances. So that's another question. And let's see. All the talk about the cost, I think what I want to know is, how did you decide what to assess our division? How was that brought? We're hearing the big numbers, but we don't know what was the percentage that was assessed to us, that $524,000. I'm interested. Wouldn't we be entitled to some breakdown? We're paying for something that we don't know what we're paying for. I understand the liability and all the failures of the piping, but what I don't understand is, how did you arrive at our cost, the HOA's cost? And that might be...
Where our cost would be, how we derived would be the project cost divided by the number of residents.
And for as far as the breakdown for the county's portion and the other, that was the bid, which has actually been provided to their attorney, both attorneys actually.
Really?
The bid documents have two separate projects. They bid it as one project, but carried it out. So each project, there's a separate sheet that was actually provided at the pre-construction meeting that included what each one was. I believe it was a spreadsheet that said, this is how we get, this is where we get to the $500,000. And it included the breakdown of all the different equipment and all the different capital projects or capital material that they needed to have there. Right. And it was broken down, so it was very specific to each person's responsibility. It was not a percentage, it was not any of that, because we have to be able to justify whatever we are charging for any special assessment is a special benefit to the homeowners. And so we had to be very careful with that. And to my knowledge, when they did it, it was done very carefully in that way, and that's what the number comes from. Each project, both the county's portion and Water's Edge, has its separate reserve account. So if your reserve account doesn't get used at all, you get all of that back. Where if the county's gets used, it doesn't split, it's not a percentage, it's two separate funded projects, and that way it stays separate that way. And I believe Mr. Khanich has some information about the other.
As part of the original, the agreement was once like the roads, the county's taking over the ownership of the culverts going forward.
Oh, that's wonderful news. Yeah. Make my day. I'm happy to hear that. Does the county have a policy of getting so many bids?
Yes, ma'am. The county has a specific administrative policy for all of the bid process.
So, matter of fact, there was actually an email that was sent out in February from a former county attorney of February 2024 that went to the homeowner president, Jeff Arch. It was in response of what's the progress. It was an email that went to you originally, Commissioner Lohr.
Yes, sir.
And it said, the town, please allow me to update you on the status of the culvert replacement. And they said advertisement bids, they'll go out. So yes, they went out and they bid this project. So they bid the project and we select the lowest bidder. And they also help us, to the attorney's point, identify what's the cost for the project that we were planning to do, and then what's the cost related to the two culverts for the ingress and egress on the two.
Thank you for that explanation. I think the residents, homeowners at Water's Edge would all comment that the project company, the people who actually did the work, overextended twice, and, the end result might be okay, but it's been a huge, huge inconvenience. And it sounds to me like the attorney who was representing us wasn't communicating what was going on. I think there's a failure there by the attorney. And then I do know for a fact our president has kept us informed. We were told they were failed, and we were told that they need to be replaced. And we were also advised that it would be to our best interest to be included when the county did the work on the road. But as far as the actual breakdown, that was something I wanted to know, and that was not passed on from the attorney, Sweeney. At least I've never heard it, and I think if it was passed on, our HOA president would have passed it along. So thank you for listening to my comments.
Just to follow up on your comment, ma'am, in that same email, it talks about the county will use the special assessment process where each property owner in the subdivision will pay their prorated share of the project over a period of time. To arrive at the assessment cost, you need to take total cost of the project divided by the number of lots in the subdivision. And it does say the county will work with the residents to determine the length, and they go through provided, and this is an email that went to I can't think of your last name, but Giordano, and it provides the whole process of what was going to happen as it relates to the special assessment, and the 3 steps, the resolution, the board had to approve the bid price, because you can't do the assessment until you know what the cost of the bid price is. So, I mean, in fairness, the county has been trying to communicate, but again, it also goes back to that this is a private project that had a public project going on, and we were holding up on that one for the purposes of trying to be able to help you all in terms of, 1, the cost of mobilization, reduce the cost. 2, you get the ability to finance it over, 15 years through your tax bill versus bringing in, a company to fix both of those culverts at the HOA's cost immediately.
I read through the document, the 26-page document yesterday, and it talks about some kind of early savings if you pay off. Is that an option? And
Yes.
is that an option to pay your portion and not have it on your tax bill for 15 years?
Yes.
What kind of savings is that?
There is
Percentage or?
Unfortunately, there are costs to assessing every year, and the property appraiser and the tax collector collect a percentage of every payment made. So the cost will actually be slightly higher the longer you pay, because we have to pay them to do their job. And there are, in this case, and this is something,
savings.
there is a savings to that, and that's with any special assessment. If you pay it early, you save on fees and you save on those costs that everybody would have to pay. So there is a savings for that. Additionally, this project, and I don't think it's been said blatantly yet, but the commission has agreed, our new process requires interest to be charged on all special assessments. So it'd be like a normal loan. However, because of the confusion and because of the agreement prior didn't include interest, the commission wanted to make sure they kept the numbers relatively the same, and we're not asking for interest, even though projects going forward will have to include interest just by our new ordinance. But we're trying not to spring extra cost on you. I mean, it's already enough, I understand. I do feel, because I know I have one coming very soon for some other things. But the commission was trying to make sure they kept it where they were, and I know I've spoken with each of them individually about it. And so they were waiving the requirement for interest on this project, so it's not going to go up any more than that. So the numbers are, we won't know them exactly until that final accounting, but they won't go over what we will know on the 10th if this is passed. We won't go past that. So,
And that prevailing interest is about 7 and, 7.25?
7.7, I think.
7.7%.
So we're saving that 7% interest, and there would be some savings if we pay it and be done with it,
Yes, ma'am, there is a savings to that.
and live there till you die. Thank you.
Possibly.
Well, 7% of 15 years, that's substantial savings if you can get
The
the
interest
aggregate number.
adds up.
So if that's the case, when will we have that, Counselor?
I don't know. I don't know if they have an estimated time of receiving the final accounting. I believe, and I may be wrong, but I think that they either completed it or they're almost completed it last week, but I've been told that before, and so I don't want to
Yeah, the
be.
job's been completed.
Okay, so then it should be in the next few weeks, I would assume, but that.
So the citizens will have, could we ensure that they have awareness, now that you've made that inquiry, awareness of the initial cost and as opposed to the 15-year plan? Will we advertise, not advertise, directly contact so they know that they have the option to save the funding
sir.
from the onset?
After this hearing, as part of the new process, there is actually a form that was attached as a draft to the resolution that will be sent to every individual homeowner, and it will include those costs. I believe it was attached to the documents you received, and it has a maximum cost, and then it can come down from them, but that's the maximum cost it could be, and they will all receive that, as well as this will be noticed in the paper if the board approves it today for the September 10th hearing.
Mr. Chair?
If that's, does that sound like it's?
Yes, had I not read that document, I wouldn't have known, because we were told, and it filtered down, and I can't quote.
You just meant the magic word, and that's what happened today in just
Filtered
about every
down?
step of the way. There's been too much filtering.
Yes,
And
yes.
I have heard evidence today, not to interrupt, but I have heard evidence today from various sources that certain elements of communication were expressed, were delivered, were offered, and not received. Not received, okay? And I don't know why. Again, I have a funny feeling that it's about a cost factor. When you're exposed to a cost factor, sometimes it's kind of like that stuff you get in the mail. You say, ooh, well, okay, I'll remember that.
You get what you pay for?
And
Is that what you're saying?
Well, you
Somewhat.
could read into it, but I believe that a lot of this information was delivered and not digested. It doesn't make the bill go down.
No.
Although that,
No. But that.
7% times 15, that will make the bill go down.
And the fact that we were told it was not to our benefit to pay it all off, to take the 15 years, because it was assessed on not the individual, but the property. So when I read in that document that there are some savings if you pay off early, I was like, am I reading this correct? So that was one of my questions, and I've gotten the answer for that.
What I would do is go back to that source and give them a lesson in economics.
I don't even, we've been chomping on this for like 5 years, so who knows where anything came from anymore. But there was some clarification, at least for me today, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your time. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Counselor.
I do want to address something. I'm sorry to interrupt, but on the interest, when we calculated before for this with the homeowners association in conjunction with them, and in those enabling resolutions that y'all passed, it did not discuss interest, and in my discussions with budget, for whatever reason, that was not calculated into the figure given to the neighborhood. So looking at creating this new resolution, although we normally charge interest, that's what you're talking about, that would drive the cost up a lot, and I need to mention that on the record that I don't think it's fair to, our office has stated that since we have this new process with the new master ordinance, we think we need to relook at how we charge interest on our special assessments for these private projects, and the number that they're looking, there will be other savings because, we're paying a percentage to the tax collector and the property appraiser, and there's administrative costs every year, but if we were to actually put that interest number on this special assessment, it would drive the cost up tremendously per year, and we don't want to do that to these people.
Yeah, and I thought that you
I don't know
said,
how else to say it.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
I thought you said that we weren't going to get charged interest.
You're not, but
Okay, good.
most
Okay.
special
Thank you.
assessments are paying that interest.
Yes,
But
yeah, I
in
understand.
fairness to you, since a figure was discussed before with you, we're trying to get as close to that figure as possible.
Yes, and thank you. I do want to say one thing about and I think what had happened with the president and on the board is that when you were saying that there was communications all along, well, we were under the impression that we were going to have a say-so on the final number. And apparently, we don't have a say-so on it. And I think that's where the confusion was, that we thought we were going to have a say-so on it. And so I just wanted to say that.
I could see that, and I can appreciate your input in that, but I believe it's very difficult to get a say-so in the actual cost of the project, but the say-so as it's happening was part of that process about contacting and communication
Yeah.
that.
There was some, but something was
I think this
missing.
is very pale of awareness.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be clear. That's why I placed staff in the position to have to provide the contacts that were made. Because after all, I want you to have faith that we made the attempt to ensure that you were aware. And I was told in the beginning of the meeting that nobody was told anything, and that the president never received any notice about this.
No, you
and
were
did not know
incorrect.
any. And I said, wow, okay.
That was
Well, we'll have to
incorrect.
gonna get to that.
That was
And
incorrect
I-
information.
And I hope that today was, again, it was probably longer than anyone anticipated as far as a general discussion. It could have been far shorter if everyone had the communication level, the contact, the digestion of the materials beforehand. As you saw earlier, we continued a hearing because everyone had not had the opportunity. In this case, there is so much evidence that it was delivered, it just might have been, well, that's another piece of mail I'll deal with. I don't know. I'm not making any negative aspersions,
No.
but
We don't want to go back there again,
I
but
wanted.
thank
wanted
you.
it.
Thank
Okay?
you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You had something?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, too. I understand, I think, this is a done deal now, so I understand how everything has taken place. My concern is, has this job been completed as far as what this is going to look like, our property from First Street Southwest, from one of the two entrances? Has this been completed? And have you had a chance maybe to look and see what it looks like?
Let me give you the engineer.
Sure. Good afternoon. So the project is almost complete. It should be done by the end of this month is what we've been told. But the contract ends in November, so we still have few more weeks or few more months before the contract is officially closed. But the construction will be completed by the end of the month, as it has been communicated by the contractor to the county.
And as you know, the road was opened August 8th.
Oh, no, I understand that. My thing is what it looks like at this point of time, as far as what it looked like. I've been there since Water's Edge opened up in 2004, and so I kind of remember what the front looked like, although, I'm talking about the grass area and everything else, and both sides. And I'm just wondering if it's going to be returned to look like that, because I can say this, and it doesn't look like it now. At all. So I'm wondering if the beautification part of it can come back.
I can look into it and get back, but most probably, typically, in projects like this, the restoration is always there to basically make sure that it's basically returned to its condition before the construction began.
Okay.
And sometimes there is a period, like, you'll put the grass, you'll put the landscaping, and it takes a little bit of time, it's not as soon as you put the plants that it's gonna all be back to, where it was. So sometimes there's a transition period, sometimes that could be a 6 months, sometimes that could be a 12 months. So there is a maintenance period after the project is complete.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. How are you? My name is Ronald Kashuta. I live in Water's Edge, and actually, that was Jim, my neighbor next door. I think we're referring to this beautification part, the entrances. We lost a lot of real estate on either side of both entrances. It's nice, beautiful grass on both sides. And now we just got this like little bridge that goes across. And we just lost it all to like crushed sidewalk stone that looks ugly. All weeds, no grass anymore. What could be grass. So that's, I think, the beautification part. But some trees were taken down along the way. I guess they had to be taken down. I have no idea why. But earlier, one of my neighbors mentioned there is a homeowner in the middle of the two entrances, and he had his replaced. My question is, how much is he paying for his? Or is he paying for his?
I'm sure he paid for it. It wasn't assessed.
I was under the impression he paid for his own project, but
Well, it happened to be done the same time that ours was being done. I just assumed it was part of the project.
I think I was under the same assumption that he basically paid for his own thing because, I don't think he has access from these two private.
No, he doesn't,
For,
no.
for the neighborhood, he has his own.
Well, there were
so-
multiple projects going on at the same time, First Street on entrances and his private entrance. So I just assumed, his was tackled first. His was
We
the
didn't
very
pay
first
for
one
it.
tackled. So I was just wondering that was put on us.
outside the
or
scope.
he did
Yeah,
it.
it was outside the scope of this project.
Yeah, so, I think, I'd also like to touch upon, earlier, the counselor said that, our covert, our little bridge there, it doesn't affect anybody. It doesn't affect 9,000 other homeowners. So my question to you, in theory, since somehow it's ours, First Street's not ours, our roads aren't ours, but yet that canal is ours somehow. Could we just filled it in and dammed it up?
Well, Indian River.
Right, 'cause it doesn't affect
Indian
anybody.
River Farms Water District.
Well, it
would
doesn't
probably
affect
had something to
anybody,
say
right? It
about
doesn't
that.
affect anybody, so we could just dam it up and just make it cheaper. Don't have to do all this construction and everything. And since it was ours, how come we didn't have any say about who's doing it and how much was gonna be spent? Because
also
it seems
affords-
kinda a lot, almost 600,000 for two entrances.
It
And
affords
plus another
you this-
900,000 something for the First Street that our taxes are paying for, our property taxes are paying for, amongst everybody else, but nobody questions almost $1.5 million to dig a couple holes and drop a pipe in. I don't understand that.
Well, without that culvert there, without the pipe, you probably would need to wear boots every time you left the home.
I don't know about
That's
that.
the drainage.
Seems like it's always dry in there.
At times.
Yeah. Matter of fact, our lakes are super dry. It seems there's a pipe that collapsed, that drains into that ditch or that canal. There's a berm or a dam that separates one of the lakes to that canal. And that pipe or culvert, that small one, dropped down too low, so everything drains out earlier than it should be. But I was told by management, I think it was Ricky, he said that would be addressed during the construction of all these roads to fix that. It doesn't seem to be fixed. I don't know if that was true, what he was saying, that was gonna be included in the cost, fixing our lakes. But that pipe, just like everything else collapsed, that collapsed. So it collapsed a couple feet too low, now everything drains out a couple feet too low, and our lakes are always super dry. They're down like half. You'd be amazed how, you'd have to drive by and see, but seeing's believing. But I don't know if that was included in the cost, or that's a separate thing on the homeowners association. Have you heard anything about that, about our lakes, the way they are? Nothing? No? Just
It's in
asking,
the
yeah.
ditch, it's in Indian River Farms Water Control District. It's in the ditch.
Got it. Okay, then.
That's
all I
a
have to say.
requirement. That's theirs.
Okay.
I'm back to the overall cost of this project. What can be done to reduce that price? I mean, it's so far out of line. Anybody with any kind of construction knows it. Who actually approves that amount of money?
So we had a pre-construction meeting, and a representative from your homeowners association was at that pre-construction meeting. It was competitively bid for that scope.
We would have been better off just doing our culverts than getting involved with this whole project, because we could have saved a lot of money.
Well, yeah,
we
can't
deal
debate
the-
that. Yeah, we can't debate that now because the job's been finished, and we do,
It's-
I understand clearly what you've said. I've spoken to you on the phone as well. I understand there was a delay in some of the materials, et cetera. Not that that makes any excuse with the bill, but that was competitively bid, and that is how we do business with competitive bids. So I want to debate you, could it have been done cheaper? Perhaps it could have. Don't know that, but we know that the job is now completed.
Well, like you was talking about the one on 16th Street, from 3,000 to 200 and something thousand.
No, it didn't start at 3.
I mean, 30, right? But there's got to be some kind of oversight. If a project is bid too much, you don't give it out. You go again.
We have done that, sir. And I will tell you, in my short tenure, every time we do that and we go back out, it comes back more.
Well, they lead it again, start over. Somebody's got to speak up. We're running out of money. You don't have enough money to raise the money for the police department.
No, you don't have enough money. We just.
Oh, I'm
didn't do
out of
it.
money.
No.
I'm running on empty.
We don't want to, we don't want to take away any more taxpayer dollars.
But there's got to be some way to start cutting costs. And it starts with you guys when you have the approval or not approval.
And depending on the circumstances, sir, if you recall, outside of Water's Edge, those, I call them sinkholes, I don't know what they're called, but that could have potentially even cost more had we not acted when we acted.
I don't see how it costs this much. I've been watching them. They only work a couple hours a day. Then they disappear. They might come back for another hour or so. This has been one big ripoff.
They don't bill us by the hour.
I know.
It's an overall project, like Commissioner
But
said.
it's still,
Competitive bid.
this amount of money for that job, it's just ridiculous. And you guys are the ones that's gonna have to lay down the law. There's gotta be a maximum paid out.
We refused a lot of the bids on a near weekly basis on what gets proposed on the work to be performed after there's a competitive bid with an RFP, and we have actually scrapped projects because the bids were so high. I would say that the scrutiny level of the RFP process and the bids, it has a very high threshold. This way, we ensure the best in service at the lowest possible price. And again, if you want to look at our agenda on a continual basis, you'll see reject all bids, because staff didn't feel that they could perform, or they could do it for that dollar amount, or the dollar amount was too high for the work being performed. We really are good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, and we're committed to do that. As a matter of fact, if I have your contact information, the next time we refuse one, I'll call you up just to let you know we did it.
I'd like to see an itemized bill. Let's see where the money's going. Like I say, I'm mad as hell about this,
I sense
but there's not a hell of a lot I can do except speak to you here and hope that you will listen and think about how much money you're letting go of the county's money every time you do one of these contracts. It's up to you to make them come down to reasonable prices.
Well, and that was done, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Did someone? No. Thank you, everybody, for your input, and I hope we clarified a lot of the questions that had been there that were not answered, not asked, not answered, and that's the lesson for today, too. There might have been a little bit of communication barrier at worst. Dr. Adi, you're back.
I guess just want to bring it to the closure and see if the board would approve the initial
Does
resolution.
anybody need any further explanation? Is there any further discussion?
Are they gonna put the street sign back up?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
The street, okay, it's still there, at no cost to the residents?
It's part of
No.
the project
the
map.
deal.
Yes.
I'll go up and put it up.
So what's the final number? You have that yet?
We will have those soon.
At the end?
I'll tell you what, if it's not done, I'm going to check with Adi for the sign. If not, Vice Chairman Law and myself will be there with the post hole digger, some concrete, and dropping the poles to make the sign right.
I'm holding you to that.
I got tools. I'll do it. I just got the commitment from Adi, and that will be done, and there's no fee, no tipping, and if not, I want to check, we'll do it. I just included him. You want in on it?
He wants to help.
Y'all
got-
better let me do that. I'm not worried about y'all.
I got an auger. I got an auger. I'll make sure that she's happy. All right. Well, with that, we've concluded that. We do have a resolution to pass, and you'll see we're one short, as Commissioner Adams had a previous engagement, so she has a excused absence, but there are four of us, so I'll be happy to entertain a motion. Since I can't make a motion myself, I am the chairman.
I move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Chairman Law, seconded by Commissioner Ehrman, to pass this resolution. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Adams absent. I thank you all for your time, your patience, and your input.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Seeing no further business? You have anything, County Administrator? Okay. Fine job. This meeting is adjourned.